Hey, chat. Welcome to the Gamescast pre-show. How are y'all doing today?
How you doing, Imran?
I'm doing okay. How was your week, Barrett?
Oh God, it's been a week. Let's see. I don't even remember. Yeah, we did a lot yesterday. We had Games Daily, KFAF, and then Terminator in review yesterday.
Yeah, apologies for taking Games Daily out so long. I blame Gary.
Why waste a perfectly good topic in ranking Nintendo consoles and put it on a Games Daily? That's a Gamescast topic right there.
That was
and
entirely
y'all
Gary
fucking
Whitta.
shit on the N64 way too hard. I learned afterwards from Blessing.
I said there were like 10 masterpieces on that console.
And that's it.
That's kind of like
There's still a lot of great games, like masterpieces. Yeah, okay, fine, but like
Yeah.
there's still a lot of great games, and the N64 did a lot for a very specific generation of kids, and that was my generation.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I will
Too
always
much
remember
hate.
like going to Target before the N64 came out and like playing Mario 64 on one of the display consoles.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
Oh
The
yeah,
game changer, man.
Yeah.
dude, the atomic purple fucking controller. One
Oh,
of the
yeah,
coolest
dude.
controllers.
Hey, there's a ton of good about the N64, just
Yeah.
objectively looking at it compared to other consoles.
I think it's better than the Wii. I'm just gonna say that. I think the Wii is a bad console.
When I was actually like after that conversation, people tweeted me like, "Hey, you forgot this game for the Wii." It's like, yeah, I forgot a lot of games for the Wii, but like there were a bunch of bangers for that system.
There were definitely bangers. I would put N64 above Wii when all's said and done.
Yeah.
Like, I think that the Wii has better games at the end of the day.
The Wii was
Galaxy
a certain
1 and 2.
yeah. The Wii was a certain time and place, you know.
Yeah.
But like I would, you know, there's some of the sad games, right? Like you go back to GoldenEye, that game does not hold up. That game
No.
sucks.
No.
And it's heartbreaking.
Unplayable
Yeah.
now, yeah.
But like the other classics on that game, right? Mario 64.
Mario 64,
Fucking.
I'm going to be straight up honest, one of, if not the worst Mario Kart game.
Mario Kart 64, you mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
I was just talking about Mario 64.
Oh, Mario
Yeah,
64.
yeah, yeah.
Fucking
Mario Kart
amazing.
64, I'll agree with that. Like,
What?
I would say I can't go back to the SNES version. And
Yeah,
I
that
could,
one's,
I
like,
could go back to Mario Kart
unplayable.
64, but of like that generation, from Mario Kart 64 on, that's probably the one I'd like the least.
Yeah.
Mario
Battle mode's the
64.
only thing that is like still the best.
Mario Kart 64 I'd put against the Mario Kart Wii. 'Cause those controls suck.
Okay, so I have a lot of fondness for
Fair.
Mario Kart Wii because that was the game we played in my college dorm room.
That's fair.
So like,
Again, it's all nostalgia and just like
Yeah,
personal
no.
experiences and shit. But
there,
like,
there was a girl in my dorm who had never played another video game in her life, but she just played Mario Kart Wii, and she was so good at it, she destroyed every one of us every single time. She never
yeah.
paid for a drink because she would just bet us
I love
the
it.
entire time.
That's great. Ignacio Ross says the NES is very overrated. Really, there aren't many good games for it. It's just nostalgia. I also agree.
yeah.
I disagree with like the
There's
Mega
so
Man
many-
X's.
that's the
Like,
thing is-
Dude,
there's so many games.
The NES collection on Switch is a collection of the best games, and like 4 of them are good, kind of still today, maybe.
I could get down with Yoshi's Island anytime.
No,
Like,
NES.
oh, NES. Sorry,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
NES.
SNES is top tier.
Yeah, I don't know why I was
Yeah.
hearing SNES, but yeah, NES. You're right. NES is actually a little overrated. Like the Mega Mans are good. The
Mario's, duh.
Yeah.
And then Zelda is like, it's more of the idea, but like
Yeah.
no one would argue they're the best Zelda games.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Castlevania games, Ninja Gaiden. Like there's a ton of games, but I would argue that the Super Nintendo versions are superior to most, if not all of those.
Some exceptions, like Mega Man and
Mega
Castlevania
Man,
are-
I feel like
yeah.
X and the Mega Man franchise do stand side by side, not on top of each other.
Like I own an SNES or NES Mini. I don't know that I've played all the games on that thing because it's just like, okay, I don't need. I have no desire to ever go back to the NES version of Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
not.
Just know this is this timer right here that I'm putting up is like 5 minutes off.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, just to give you kind of a general sense.
Great.
I'm gonna step out for a quick minute.
Do your thing.
We live yet?
Yeah.
Yep.
What you guys?
Fucking late, friend.
Oh yeah, I'm late. Is that was that when you came in there as producer and said, "Hey guys, I need you on the set in 5"? Oh.
No, I didn't say.
Oh.
No, I didn't say fucking 5 minutes. I said the set's ready to go now for pre-show
You did?
people.
He did,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you were lollygagging.
Yeah,
I was-
yes,
I was
that
like,
was
that's very-
verbatim what I said. Fred.
Yeah, it was because I
never
That's not
said
on
that
me.
to me at all.
He did.
I
When?
followed Barrett.
I can
after
tell
said
you
it.
didn't hear him though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't
His
hear
friends
that.
all just like, what?
Like in other words, I was waiting to, full disclosure to the pre-show. I was waiting to do my hair.
My hair,
course,
Borderlands.
And I was
Man.
waiting for the time.
Destiny.
And
my
Tim
hair.
said, "Are you about ready?" And that's when I said, "Oh yeah, let me do my hair."
There you go.
And I did it.
Yeah. Well, I only said that as kind of like a, not passive aggressive, but like
Yeah.
just like
No,
hey, did you hear
you got to watch those cues more. No, I didn't hear Barrett at all.
That's really
I
funny.
mean, to be fair, I try to tune him out at all times.
Tim, how can you drink coffee in the heat like this? Like the studio
Oh,
heat?
in the heat?
It's
He-
like
studio
fall.
I don't know. I'm not that. I guess
Because like I'm burning up. I don't know.
I
like-
just did a phone call outside,
okay, that might.
and
do
it's
it.
it's brisk.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a nice briskness.
I like San Francisco winters because they're cold, but not
nipply.
super cold.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you don't need a coat, but you do
But
need a
you
jacket.
can have a jacket,
Yeah.
which is all you need. Fashion over function.
What's going on here?
What are your thoughts on the NES library?
Like,
obviously, it's
in
classic.
general, the classic library, like how was it as a platform?
No, just like just objectively looking at the different Nintendo consoles. Like the NES, I feel not most people, a lot of people would say it's like one of the best just because it was the original and just because it has so many games.
So I think the problem is if you're comparing it now versus objectively what it did as a trendsetter, those are two very different things.
Yeah.
And yes, I think people get them mixed up. I think people are like, the NES was incredible, amazing. And you're like, no, the Super Nintendo had an amazing library and it learned from everything. And, so the Super Nintendo, I think, is the better library.
Yeah.
It was just, the NES was a trendsetter. And you can't forget that. It was like, there was no competition really.
So
it
if
was
some-
amazing what it did for the industry.
If somebody came up to you and said you have to play the 10 highest rated Metacritic games on X console, which console would you choose?
Any consoles up until now.
Any console.
And I have to play 10.
Yes.
Right, but
the top
get
10
to enjoy them.
Metacritic rated, whatever.
Yeah. What are now? It's interesting because I think that that's going to be a personal preference thing.
For me, the
obviously.
moment you get on a Nintendo, that's when it gets really difficult.
Just 10? It's actually not that hard because then it comes down to personal preference. I mean, you're not asking me to publish a list of the top 10,
Yeah.
right? You're saying just what would fans,
Yeah.
list be.
Somebody's like, you won
Getting two very different
$10,000
things.
for playing these games.
There's always a,
Yeah, there always is. And then things get complicated because my answer would be Switch at this point.
Yeah.
And that's cheating a little bit
Nah, fam.
because of the NES and SNES apps.
True.
Yeah, it is.
But like,
Oh, wait, no,
you're
but
playing
it's just the 10.
like-
It's just
yeah.
the 10, yeah. Fuck. I mean, dude, the library is so great and has
the
Smash.
real way to cheat is to say PC, Tim.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
like so much to the. You could play Half-Life, you could play StarCraft, you could play.
No. That's not.
Tomb Raider. You can play. You can play Bioshock. There's so much you can play.
There's a lot you could
I
play.
kind of wonder what, like, maybe there's some, like, indie game that has, like, 10
Emulators.
reviews that are all 10s.
Yeah.
That, like, this sucks, but
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm like so tempted to just say GameCube because it's such a fond console and it has some of my like. I'd be more than happy to go back and play Metroid Prime, Eternal Darkness, Wind Waker, Super Smash Bros. Melee. The list would continue right there. There's like so much on that platform that I just enjoy. Like meaning I would never hesitate to play any of those games right
I feel
now.
like the GameCube's median of, like, good games is much higher than other consoles. Just 'cause, like, it has smaller library, but...
It's quality
yeah.
over quantity for sure.
Yeah.
Whereas Wii, I think, is quantity over quality.
Like, I could go back and play Tales of Symphonia or Batten Kaitos, and those are, like,
Yeah.
not necessarily the best games on that system.
Yep. Talking about GameCube.
Fire Emblem
Yeah.
Path of Radiance, man. So good.
My favorite Fire Emblem
Me
game.
too.
I think it's actually, like, the 20 years old today? No.
Shut up.
No, it wouldn't be 20. It would be maybe 15.
Oh my
I saw,
God.
like, a birthday anniversary tweet.
Even that is
Yeah.
insane.
I think other than that, second to it, honestly, is like just the lineup on PlayStation 4, being able to play Last of Us Remastered as well as God of War, as well as like all these AAA games. It'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
choice
like,
right
I
there.
do think it'd be either PS4 or Switch for me. Like, 'cause
or
there's
Switch.
just so many amazing games on them that are such high, like, 10 out of 10 level games.
I will say the calculus on that idea changes if you say you have to beat those games. Because it's like, oh, then not Switch, because I'm not playing through the entirety of Breath of the Wild again.
I would, though. I would.
I love that game, but it's a moment in time that I think I'm done with.
Oh, yeah?
I will go back to it in like 4 or 5 years, maybe.
or the sequel maybe in
Any muted
a year and a
embargoes
half, or
today?
who knows? Who's
No
slamming
muted
that
embargoes
door out
today.
there? What
We're
is
getting
going
ahead
on?
of one.
Yeah.
Since I'm going next.
Oh yeah, man, that's right. Paper Mario also on GameCube.
That's your door.
Man, there's so much good.
GameCube is fantastic.
GameCube's got again at the top.
The
It's got
GameCube's cast.
amazing stuff, and unique stuff too.
Well,
Play some-
where this started, though, Fran.
Yeah.
N64 or Wii?
Oh, I have to choose. It's funny. My first reaction is like, I just don't want to choose Wii based on what it is and despite the trends set. But let me think on the actual releases on Wii. What would it like? Give me
Mario
some.
Galaxy 1 and 2.
Oh.
Brawl.
The Bird Zelda.
Actually, no. Honestly, I don't think I would hesitate. I'd play
was the
Bird Zelda.
I'd play
Xenoblade, Sin and
N64. I
Punishment
think.
2.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the list. There's a
Super
lot.
Paper Mario.
Honestly, N64.
You guys are all insane. The Wii is it's a better library. It's not like the N64 had more revolutionary games. But I think the Wii
No, you're right.
objectively has a better library.
I
of
chose
games.
sentiment on it. I mean, the truth is, Wii would be a better choice because there's a lot on there, like all the collection stuff. I mean, Metroid, you can play Super Metroid Prime 1 through 3.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
play a lot of really good. So the truth is, Wii is the technical choice, but fondly, I was like, I just don't want to choose the
Yeah,
Wii.
we also had Twilight Princess, which I enjoyed a lot.
Oh man, yeah, Skyward Sword, man, I didn't
Yeah,
do it
not
for
my
me.
favorite.
Like, it was all right, but it was way too much back and forth.
GameCube has Fran's most hated Mario Kart, Double Dash.
It's not
Never gonna live
hated
that
at
down.
all. I've been going over this for decades now.
Oh, 7-9. I don't understand why it's so great.
It's good.
You don't like fun.
Good. I said it was good. It says it on the score. I just didn't say it was great. Y'all got your
I
panties
agree
in a
with you,
bunch.
man. You're right, Fran.
Oh, wow.
right.
You're on Tim's. Tim agrees with you. So you know you're on the right
He's
path
Mario
now.
Kart master, man.
Yeah.
He knows.
He's never beat.
Are you still playing Mario Kart Tour? Do we have that
Oh,
intervention
God.
for you?
We'll get that update on the show.
I did lie
Wait,
to you
wait.
guys because I did keep playing after, but I stopped before the Tokyo.
Okay.
I did not do any Tokyo yet. I'm not going to do any Tokyo. Let me rephrase that. I need to
No Tokyo.
stick that to myself.
On the topic of Mario Kart, I don't think any of y'all have played me yet. And I'm just saying, y'all are fucking cowards.
I would love to watch Tim beat the shit out of you. 'cause there's
Oh
no
my
chance.
God.
There's no
Matthew
chance.
Gray.
I will lick your asshole.
Jesus,
Whoa.
that's not what you think.
Wait,
that
what?
doesn't
That's
apply
not a-
the way you
that's not a
think it
threat?
does.
Tickle me inside, Tim.
What did he say? Did he make it worse?
I did.
Matthew Gray, don't get technical on me over 3 or 4 years when I say for decades. We're pretty close. Why don't you give me the math and divide, whatever it is, 16 divided by 20, whatever that is. That's how far in the percent of
Yeah,
those 2
Matthew
decades.
Gray.
We're into the second decade.
Fucking jerk. You got you dead to rights on this one.
Don't math me.
Demetrius Newell says, I haven't touched any Mario Kart World Tour. Probably won't. Don't.
Yeah, when you don't need to play it, honestly. Some people are really into it. If you don't think
like
you're going to be one of those
80%,
people,
isn't it?
don't bother.
Yeah.
I think it's 80%.
80%?
I think so.
Oh.
Sorry, separate topic.
Good thing Kevin's not here. He'd be like trying to figure it all out in his head.
There it is. Tony Tran hooked me up. It is 80. It was easy. It was
Tim,
4/5.
Math
Just
so
a quick
far.
question for logistic and time code sake. These questions pertaining to specific games are gonna like kind of.
Oh, don't worry about that. Yeah,
Okay.
the time code is just the bolded stuff.
All right. Well, then never mind.
There's a lot of Terminator going around here. And I like it. I like it a lot, guys.
T2 is so good.
So
Hey, that's so close to the Lord of the Rings. Ba 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 bum bum bum. Ba ba bum.
I'd have to get Andy in here. I don't watch that.
It was like the whole like when they went down underground with all the orcs and
It
stuff.
reminds me of Uncharted. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, like the
Bam,
first
bam,
couple of
bam.
notes. Yeah.
Then you hit the didgeridoo.
yeah, the didgeridoo.
goddamn
Wait, hold on. Make
didgeridoo.
that didgeridoo motion again. Okay.
Like he's tickling the balls.
Perfect. That's how you play the didgeridoo. Clearly,
What the fuck does a didgeridoo look like?
I think it's a.
Wrapping
Hold
paper
on.
tube.
All right, hold on. Let me
I'm
figure out how
not
to
joking.
spell it.
This is not a Greg Miller joke.
Is it?
A wrapping
It's
paper
big
tube.
though, right?
Yeah, it's a real long tube.
Yeah.
Cam Across, while Barrett's looking that up, Cam Across says, Greg, how's the LG OLED?
Great.
Oh, you
How
bought
could
an
it
LG
not
OLED?
be?
Yeah.
They're
C7?
great TVs.
Yeah, when the
you get
IGN
C7?
deal happened, I was told I had to do it, and I finally did it.
Did you buy the new one? The 20.
He'll tell you.
Yes,
fancy.
The 2018, so
Okay.
last year's version of
Don't
it.
hate the
The
C8.
biggest problem is, we'll talk about it here in a little
Yeah.
bit, you
Yeah.
ruined me on video games.
'Cause of
Because I never thought about it before. And then I fucking put something on there, and then Nintendo Switch. I'm like, ah,
Interesting.
good Lord, why?
Got him on board.
Even as
now.
somebody that I had that
See
same
how
TV just a
Stadia
year
looks
model
on
earlier.
there.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know what I'm
Even
saying?
me, I don't really notice it when like a resolution's upscaled that
Yeah.
much.
I wonder how that 2K version of Outer Lands
Outer Wilds.
Dang
No,
it.
Outer Worlds. Fuck, I hate this.
I mean, Outer Lands is like
Outer Lands is a restaurant in San Francisco.
I think you were thinking of Outlands.
Yo,
Outlands is a music festival
Yes,
in
all
San
the
Francisco.
first
No,
off,
wasn't there a game?
You're
No, that's
right.
Griftlands.
Didgeridoo.
that's how didgeridoo looks. But you can get a travel didgeridoo.
Oh,
you can break it
man.
into 3 pieces.
It's only
Wait, where are you seeing
$115,
that?
Tim.
The
thing he's playing.
Right. Jesus.
Dude, that's awesome.
Was that the
Man.
best didgeridoo model they could find?
When
Like,
I
we
was
just need a guy to
like a
hold this.
classic.
I feel like
didgeridoo.
it was an accurate representation
Yeah,
of what,
probably.
There you go.
you know,
when I was a kid
the target market.
and dumb as hell, my friends were all getting all into music. And I was like, I don't want to be left behind. I was like, I'll be the drummer. And I can barely count. Period. I shouldn't be doing this.
I
So
saw.
I
yes,
bought a
man.
used drum set and like saved up my money and bought a used drum set from a guy, and he gave us a didgeridoo too. He's like, all right, we also have money. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, throw this in.
Did it like once, like, brrr, like throw this fucking thing away.
Give you a nose harp too.
Didgeridoo don't.
Not really, give me another-
I wonder if everybody knows what a nose harp is. You should look that up too, Barrett.
I do
you
not
know what a nose harp
I
is?
have no idea what
Is
the
it
fuck
called
a
an? Is it a
Yeah,
mouth
it's
harp or a
asking
nose
me
harp?
this.
It's like a. Is it a mouth harp actually? Or
Oh my god.
maybe I got the name wrong.
Barrett, go to Guy Ferreri's Twitter.
Oh, you guys haven't seen this yet?
No.
So this whole Lady Gaga right
I saw
ninja
that.
thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he's jumping on board
He
with
did.
that, right?
He did. Yeah, he just escalated
Yeah.
it. Where we
No,
dropping?
you need to look at the entirety of Guy Fieri's Twitter because that's what he does. Is I guess his publicist
Trolls
or
people?
whatever just post memes with Guy Fieri in them.
Perfect.
Like there's a Spider-Man one that like has him photoshopped as Spider-Man.
Look how good that
And he
is.
has like the tiniest
Where
fucking.
we
head.
dropping, Ninja? Guy
Flavor Town.
Wow.
I gotta leave you all behind.
I love how much he leans into
Yeah,
how
good
much of a
for
meme he
him.
is. Yeah.
Guy Fieri.
So unnecessary, but it worked for him.
He's a fine person. He just looks
He's
like
a fine person.
weirdo.
He looks jacked in Fortnite, man.
Yeah.
It's like all squared out.
Chance Carter says, is nose harp related to booger sugar?
No. Is it a nose harp? I'm looking at it. It's a mouth harp or nose harp? I think you call them both. Jesse, jaw harp,
What would it take to have Greg and Fran play didgeridoo?
the mouth harp, the googa,
Come
the
to Extra
Queenbard.
Life, hour 17.
What the fuck are you saying?
the
Fran?
Ozark harp.
The Ozark. What is
These
this?
are all nicknames.
The Ozarks.
For the nose harp?
It's like it's actually also called a Jew harp or a mouth harp.
That sounds
a
like
Jew's
that might-
trump.
I feel like we made.
I think you might have just slipped into the slurs, Fran.
Did like
I
Stormlands
don't think
have
so.
that? Or not
No, I don't think
Stormfront
so.
have that
Fran
one?
says, okay.
Barrett, can you look this up?
Yeah.
Nose
There are
harp?
many theories for the origin
No,
of
it-
the name.
It sounds like just like a thing you make up on third grade playground. of,
Definitely
like, I'm
something
playing
your
the nose harp.
grandfather does. Yeah.
The fuck? Yeah, a
There
bunch
it
of
is.
different.
Yeah, see,
Don't
nose
go- I
harp,
don't wanna
all the
see
above.
images of it. I want to give me.
I might be mixing them up. For all I know, the nose harp is different than
Amazing
the
jaw
jaw
harp.
harp and the. It's a
jaw
real
harp.
thing.
Jaw
That's
harp.
the I forget how it sounds, but
People
bam,
also
bam,
search for
bam, bam.
kazoo, ocarina, didgeridoo. We've come full circle.
See, that's why I thought about it. Is it's got that like very like guttural sound.
I can't wait for
Fran.
The Legend of Zelda and the Jew harp.
Yeah, man. Heck yeah, man.
There's nowhere we could take it from there. Like, oh,
and the Jew harp of space.
Remember when on the pay-per-view we thought Andy said?
No, whoa. No, pay-per-view's not live.
I know.
Don't ruin anything. Don't
You can't
say-
even say that like one line.
No, I don't want
It's
anybody.
the
I don't want
pre-show.
anybody being teased about
You
anything.
know the what I'm talking.
And I know what you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna fuck up. You're gonna ruin
All right,
stuff.
all right,
You're
all right,
gonna-
all right.
Man, remember when Michael Jordan came in and won the Kind of Funny World title? Like, no, nobody remembers that didn't
Michael
happen.
Jordan. Meat flute.
Okay.
chaos.
A
in
meat
Windy
flute.
City.
Which game are we starting with?
I'm an expert at the meat
Star
flute.
Wars.
I'll make my lightsaber.
Okay.
You're getting your lightsaber?
should
Can you
bring
play
the
it like a
water mask,
didgeridoo?
too.
Would you?
You should bring the Watto mask too. Just leave it here and don't contact to it.
I think that's a mask. I think Watto.
Okay.
He's a man that comes to visit. A Toydarian. God.
You ready?
Watto.
You ready for fucking Phantom Menace?
Phantom Menace? I kind of am. It's been long
excited.
enough.
Are you guys
Yeah.
going back to these?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a review of Star
Oh
Wars.
my, because
Yeah.
like in December, right?
Yeah, we just finished Return of the Jedi, so that means next week. Phantom Menace.
I actually wanted to go back and watch all those. What is the best quality,
Unfortunately,
I know, right?
It's not good. Now,
Yeah.
Fran,
It's all over the place.
if you watched the review, you'd hear all about this. But there's a group of people out there
Yes.
that actually did a 4K transfer from the original film of the theatrical releases of
How do you get a hold of this?
find them on the internet. I have them, though.
Sure.
I'm the guy.
The black market.
But I wonder how they got a hold of the
They
film.
bought
That's what I
them.
was wondering.
Like, it's like they found different copies on eBay.
Oh yeah,
over
theatrical
time. The
prints,
actual
and then
films.
they did the transfer. That's
They
awesome.
transferred multiple, like 4 different versions, and then found the best frames of each thing and added it together.
Are they
There we go.
clean? Like not
It's
all
good.
dirty
It's-
and
it's as clean as
can be
exists.
right? Like it's
Mad
not
Yeah,
like
because
Great
currently
ass.
Dope.
Star Wars is not officially 4K except for Last Jedi
Exactly.
and
Sad.
yeah.
Solo.
And so
Yeah.
are you? I always forget. You like do or don't watch the special editions
Try to avoid it, but it's hard to.
Yeah.
Like, they just-
because they added so much and they've
And
cleaned up a lot.
it's impossible to find really the originals now today. Like the special editions is like the only.
That's the
edition, so, like,
replacement,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which I hope at one point. I know I gotta accept it at this point when they launch Disney Plus, it'll be the special editions.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope in my bones that
Which
they, the boner
It's
bone.
funny bone.
That's the biggest bone you can hope with. You know?
That they like do like a special release of the originals. So
I
you
think
can-
we're closer to that than ever before.
I want to go back and watch.
Which
all
still
these.
doesn't mean close.
I know.
Because
But-
it's not that many hours, right? I mean, what is it?
It's
Eight?
like it's 10 movies leading into the new
Oh,
one.
because you're watching all the in between stuff too.
Yeah, we're watching
two
Rogue
of them.
One and Solo and all that shit.
Oh yeah, I guess is it just Solo and Rogue One? That's the only in betweens. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Of the official, like if
Yeah, so it's
there's the
8 plus
Clone
those two.
War,
Yeah,
Clone Wars
cartoon stuff.
movie,
Yeah,
but-
yeah. Different.
Not
Okay.
counting that.
Yeah, I want to watch all that.
Tony
stuff.
Trent
It's not
says
that
Rogue
big.
One is not 4K. Surprisingly, it's not.
Gary would have
That's
demanded
weird.
that in his script.
Rogue
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, Disney were kind of bitches about 4K for a while. Even with Marvel, but then they sped that up.
Yeah, they did.
I think Guardians 2 was the first one.
How much
That
was a lightsaber? Was it
sounds
easy to
right.
get home? Was this the one you build?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to definitely
build
cover
your
it on the Kind of
lightsaber,
Funny
man.
podcast. Not the next one, but the next one. But the lightsabers were $200. And yeah, this is the one you build. And it was easy to travel. It was easy to travel with.
One of the best experiences I've ever had. I'm not kidding. It was freaking awesome. Like,
Totally awesome.
if you like Star Wars at all and you're going to do the Disneyland thing, I highly recommend doing it.
Sounds
It's-
really cool.
Yeah, I have.
It's cool.
yeah.
I'm excited to go
Only
next
been
month.
there once, and with
Star
the Star
Wars
Wars
Land or Disney?
No, Disneyland.
I've never
Land,
been.
yeah.
I should go one day. It's close enough that it makes sense to just fly over and do it for a weekend.
You
Yeah.
should.
It's fun.
I was just remembering we did like if Rogue One trailer came out in 1977. Darren wanted to do it. Were you there?
Sounds like a Darren move. I was not.
Because he had me
We were doing our
voice
own
it.
thing. Damn. Nailed it.
Did you go record this in the men's bathroom?
And stealing.
It's a spectacle. Anyway, I just remembered it being like Rogue One. It's funny.
All right, let's do the show.
Find it on
Yeah.
the YouTubes.
All right, give me a second.
Rogue One. Old trailers were so cheesy, but there's something about them.
Yeah.
That echoey voice and
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine a
words
world.
like a spectacular time for the whole family.
This holiday.
The Terminator 1 trailer, I didn't bust out this fact yesterday, but the voiceover was Peter Cullen, who is Optimus Prime.
Oh, that's
It's really weird because it's straight up, it sounds like just Optimus doing the Terminator thing.
Did you know the Terminator 2 trailer? Like they had marketing overruled the creative team to basically ruin that movie.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the trailer alone was $150K.
to produce just the
We'll talk
trailer.
about that.
Gang, 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 gang.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 243 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller.
Hi, Tim.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic.
Awesome.
It's being so nice.
Wait, how many shows have you been on today? I'm just realizing. Were you on Games Daily today?
I was on Games Day.
Oh,
We were.
man. We
We
got
both
a four-show
A four
day
Pete,
for
they
Greg
call it.
Miller.
A four Pete.
Four Pete. It's crazy.
That's what I do here. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Oh, the
Yeah,
Pete.
Oh, the
many
oh,
Pete's.
the
Oh, the
shitty.
four Pete.
We got Fran
Oh,
Mirabella
the
III, a.k.a. twitch.tv/FM3_.
Man, it's starting to get to me, the underscore. But
Yeah.
Just
FM3
now.
on Twitch
Just
with an
now it's
underscore.
getting you.
Maybe I need to change it up. It's FM3 on Twitch with an underscore.
Yeah.
Nah, doesn't work.
Nah.
You should
Anyway.
own it more than you own it. That's your biggest problem. You should sell
Own
a
the
shirt. You should sell a
underscore.
shirt that's just an underscore.
I thought about that. I
And
dream.
Imran Khan joining us once again.
Yeah.
How you doing, Imran?
I'm good. No underscores here.
Nah, no underscore. See,
Yeah.
you lucked out.
Going
OMG?
commando. No
Low
underscores.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, oh, gross.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. This is the Kind of Funny Gamescast each and every week right here on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. We get together, talk about video games, all the things that we love about them. You can get the show early by going to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Just like our Patreon producers, Zach Parsley and James Hastings did. They're getting the show ad-free. They're getting the show early. They're getting the pre- and post-show exclusive to Patreon users. This was a good one. We debated the N64 versus the Wii. Some other NES console goodness. I got real scared there, Greg. I thought the water was going over the edge.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Cup off.
I've only spilled the cup once.
Okay.
Roger Craig Smith, spare bedroom, Patreon.
You just jinxed yourself.
That is true.
Don't worry about
That
it.
is true.
Knocks it over, kept going. He's like, "Are you going to keep going?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to keep going."
Otherwise, you can just watch this video later when it comes out on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames on Mondays, or listen to it as a podcast on your favorite podcast service. Just like we did last week, we're going to start this episode
What game
off.
is this? This Planet of the Apes? What am I looking at there?
Greg's distracted by the
didn't see what it
background
was.
on
It was
set.
New
right
York, headless Statue of Liberty.
now. Sounds like a Godzilla game. I don't know.
Zombie
Sound off in the
attack.
comments below.
Yeah,
And
let
then
us
somebody
know.
tweet me what the comments say.
One day it'll repeat, and then we'll be able to see it again. But we're going to start off with the Gamescast You're Wrong. You can go to kindoffunny.com/Gamescast You're Wrong every week to let us know what we messed up the week before here on the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Didn't get too much wrong this week, which
About
is
time.
cool. And some of it's just answers to questions that we had.
good.
Ignacio
Okay.
Rojas says, if you get disconnected from remote play, the console takes that as a controller getting disconnected. When you remote play, basically the phone acts as both a controller and a monitor. So, cool.
So it goes to that sign-in screen again. Like, woo.
So yeah, what happens then? I don't know. Does it turn off automatically? What happens?
No,
if
it's
it can-
actually a controller getting disconnected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see.
so then you can-
it's just the same as always. Yeah, PlayStation's just.
And then Kebab
I did go in
says-
and reset my settings to make it like 2 hours of inactivity.
right, the standby.
Kebab says, Greg said that the hold your hands up to the Raptors pose is from Jurassic Park. It's actually from Jurassic World. That's performed by Chris Pratt.
That's right. Wait, why were you guys talking about that?
I was trying to hold off the jackals because I was saying something, and I was like, I don't want to get attacked by everybody because I was saying something controversial.
Gotcha.
But then
Something
you fucked
brave,
up.
as I do. Well, I
Yeah.
fucked that part up, yeah.
Because it came up on game.
You missed it on Games Daily today. Like a kid wrote in because it was Google 9 to 5, or you were
No,
watching.
I watched it, yeah.
You
I was yelling at
you
you,
were on me
you're
as well,
wrong,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, well, good to know everybody's just watching me. You telling me
5
Tim
to
didn't say
9.
anything wrong last week?
Not a single thing.
Liar.
Only right out of this mouth.
How gross! I don't know what that is. Well, I don't,
Right. Deal
is
with
it?
it, Greg. Deal
Okay,
with it.
I'm dealing.
That
All
would
right,
also
enough
be a
of the
good
bullshit.
start.
Let's talk about Star Wars
Yeah, let's
Jedi
get to it.
Fallen Order.
Greg's got a lightsaber.
It's harder to make the sounds
right.
than you want.
No, Angry Joe. When I put up the photo, he's like, "Hey, is that the one from the thing? Are your noises super delayed? Because mine are." I was like, "Yeah." Didn't think
Yeah.
about it. I just thought it was like not sensing. I didn't know.
Oh,
it was
they
So
like-
you
definitely are.
swing it, and then it's like,
Do it a little bit like snappier, because eventually it
That
does
was
the thing
fun.
where it lights up white.
oh,
there-
there, hit it.
yeah, we
There
can
to
kind of
see.
see.
Heard
It.
it.
I'm watching that glass.
No, it goes
just like
Here, you hit my hand. There it is.
Yeah, it's hard to see because it's too light in here.
Stupid.
Barrett,
Don't worry. I
can you
brought
cut
more
the lights.
I bought more props.
Oh wait. Yeah, are we cutting the lights? Greg's
Watto.
Wait. We're gonna do the
I played
full
the
demo.
Watto song.
Should you give me a smack,
dun,
Tim?
dun, 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 dun.
Oh,
There it is.
There you go.
Yeah,
Whoa!
That's dope.
So cool.
That was worth the demo.
They're gonna
and this
Yeah.
is
move
why.
away from kendo sticks and wrestling, and now they'll just use lightsabers. now. I also
You're
bought
wrong
these
morally.
cool
Right on the
cups.
bone.
Oh
Remember
my
when they
God.
arrested the Wookiee and they put him in these?
They
you
did.
remember it?
They did.
Oh, I love it.
Be brave, Imran.
They're so padded.
Well, they're for children, not your weird
Children.
sex games.
Honestly, they seem like they could be good for adults too. Yeah, they're nice
Everyone
and
will find.
padded
Everyone will
and
find a way to.
safe.
best friends for
EA
life.
sent me and Greg Miller down
Greg,
to
what's
the
your-
happiest place on earth, Disneyland. What's your question here?
Oh, I just wanted to know,
mind,
Greg,
fine.
what's your safe word for those?
Choo choo.
Okay, perfect.
Jesus.
I feel like choo choo's a word you want to keep in the vernacular anyway.
Choo choo. Choo choo.
Oh my God, no, Fred! I don't
Acting
like
it out.
that.
I love it.
EA sent us down to Disneyland to play 3 hours of Jedi Fallen Order, which is really, really fantastic. And then we also got to go to Disneyland and do a whole bunch of fucking cool
Clearly.
things. Very cool.
Like
Me
a
and
tough
Greg-
visit for you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Man, it was a lot of hard work.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, Fran, a lot of people think they can hang in this preview game. They can't.
They
They
can't,
can't
man.
handle it anymore.
But before we did all the Disneyland stuff, we did play 3 hours of Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool preview event.
Yeah.
I feel like they did a great job. I feel like you can explain this better because you've done so
what
many
is
more
me,
than
Greg
I
Miller?
have.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So you want to why we like this preview event so much? Preview event was great because a lot of times people overcomplicate preview events. Obviously, guess what the best preview of a game is? they send you the fucking game.
Let
And
us
you get to
rest.
play it in your own house and your own thing and be fine with it, right? Obviously, with a code that's incomplete, they haven't gone gold yet, stuff like that. That's impossible to do. So when a company throws a preview event, you obviously then want it just to be as convenient as possible. So usually destination ones, you'll see, and I won't name names, and it's changed a lot from when Fran and I were older or younger people, I guess.
How dare you.
But like where they'd send you in the middle of nowhere or to Hawaii to play 2 hours of a game, but you're there for 3 days. It's like that doesn't work anymore. This preview event was run incredibly well because, yeah, it was in Anaheim, which is easy for us to get down to, but also the fact that they cover travel. When you went down, you were in they put you in this one hotel. The event was in that hotel. It was in the morning we were in the morning session, so we had to be there at 9, which meant we were done at 1, which meant if we didn't want to go do the Disneyland stuff they were doing later that night, we could have fucked off, gone home, flown back, whatever our schedules would have allowed for. But the event itself, right, worked so well because you got there and you walked into a giant hotel ballroom and it was 66 stations running Jedi
Oh,
Fallen
thank
Order.
God.
And then on the
Execute
other
order.
side of the room was like coffee and water or whatever you needed. And when you came back in, there was like 2 short presentations of like, hey, we're going to run you through higher level content or show you this fight that you're not, going to be good enough for. So we want you to see how complicated our systems are. And then I was like, all right, cool, go play.
It's kind of the EA format. Anthem was the exact same thing. It just happened to be at the EA campus, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Same
EA
format.
does that. They just bring you into a room and that's it. Just
Yeah.
play here, leave when you want to leave.
So many people, will bring you somewhere in the middle of, or not middle of nowhere, but somewhere that's harder to get to. It'll eat up a bunch of your time. You'll get there. It's
Bethesda.
a 45-minute presentation followed by 30 minutes of gameplay. And I was like, this sucks. Like,
No, this was great where I feel like everyone around us, and us included, were just like, oh man, I want to play more.
Yeah.
And there's no way we can finish everything in these 3
Oh, God, no.
hours.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there was like one main, so you could choose multiple planets, and there was one that they were kind of like, everyone should play this one. The other one, which is Dothamir Barrett, pretty cool
Get
shit.
that one
where
right.
Darth Maul's from.
That's really, really
Shouldn't they
cool.
call it
Really cool.
Darthamir?
Well, yeah. But anyways, that one is
You
a much
offended every
higher
Star Wars
level
fan.
planet. So they were saying don't do that unless you like just want to like get your ass kicked essentially.
Yeah,
And I saw a
totally.
bunch of people playing on that. A lot of people getting their ass kicked. Some people were doing really well because they're used to this style of game. But I really liked how much content was available to us because this was the finished game. Like we were playing the game. At
Yeah,
this
they were
event.
very clear when you started. Like, cool, please don't go back off the ship. You've just finished something. If you go out there, like, things have changed. It won't be as filled out as it was when you would have gone through and just did what you would have done.
Did it fresh, yeah. But yeah, so we got to play 3 hours of it, and top level, I absolutely loved my time with this game. I can't wait to go back to it. It is the opposite of what an EA Star Wars game could have been. It's single player. It's very high production value. It feels like the canon storyline is going to matter and feel authentically Star Wars, but also be its own unique thing. And I think that's the most important element of this, where I feel like the storyline for Battlefront 2 was the thing that they publicized the most.
Right.
Battlefront 1 didn't have a story, right? It was just the multiplayer stuff. 2, the campaign was really kind of what they focused most of the previous stuff on, and I was so jazzed for it, and then playing through it, I was really let down.
Yeah, that
I
was like
thought
one of your
that-
most anticipated
Yeah.
games of that year. I remember.
yeah, and I thought that the gameplay elements were fun, but really they were serviceable in the context of the campaign. Playing this game, it is entirely designed around great gameplay systems that are backed up by great story. And I loved the characters that we saw. I loved the way that the game played, and I loved how big it all felt. We spent 3 hours essentially doing one planet, and that planet felt like a dungeon in Zelda. And even in a lot of their PR emails and stuff, they refer to it as temples. And they call this one the push temple, because this is where you learn the force push. And the way that the whole kind of experience plays out, you land on the planet, or before that, you start in the ship, talking to the different crew members around.
Cool. All seems super interesting.
Super interesting. There's one little alien dude named Grease.
Yeah.
And there's
How do you remember that?
There's a time where he goes, "Greasy money, baby," and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking love this game. I'm gonna love this character. I'm loving everything about this.
Does the writing feel like Star Wars? or-
It does,
Okay.
and so that's the thing, is it feels like Star Wars in the fun way, where the characters actually like. The one thing that I liked a lot about Battlefront 2 was some of the characters were a lot of fun. I'm forgetting his name now. I don't know, Barrett, if you can help me here, but it started with an S, I think. Sneak or something like that. He was awesome, super funny. He was kind of like he reminded me a lot of K2SO in Rogue One, where it's just like a bit more lighthearted, adding comedy, but not Jar Jar Binks level. It's more like contextual to what's going on and how the tone is. And I feel like everybody that you're dealing with on your ship kind of has that kind of vibe that feels like they could be hanging out at a cantina in a Star Wars movie, and you'd buy it, right?
Yeah, Deborah Wilson's there playing Suri. I never even remember her name being mentioned in the thing.
I don't know if it
but
was.
her performance in there.
Sarah, I think.
Sarah's how you'd say it. Her performance in it, Sarah, that makes sense. Her performance in it was great, and it was literally one of those things of like, I wanted to I'll get to it when I start talking about the game, but I wanted to get back to the ship so bad before the demo ended because I wanted more of her character.
Yep.
Because the breadcrumbs she's giving you about who she is in these cutscenes and stuff, it was like, oh man, I want to watch and I want to know. And for Cal being this Padawan who was let loose, right, and then has to figure out what's going on with the Jedi to have those conversations with people is super fascinating.
Yeah.
Is this the beginning of the game they dropped
It
you in?
wasn't
Or
the
where
beginning, but it seems not too far into the
30.
game.
The
So
easiest
you're
way is
still-
when we come back into the ship, right? This is the introduction to the rest of the crew to BD1, who is the buddy droid he's running with, right?
So you're just kind of meeting these people pretty
I would imagine,
early.
yeah, that we met them at the end of, or in the middle of whatever, like mission 1, we'll say, but probably not mission 1. Mission 2 is probably getting BD1. This is probably like mission 3 in terms of the structure. In terms of
Yeah,
trying
it
to do
sounds about right.
And it could be 5, 6, 7, but I'm saying that's the progression.
Yeah,
I
the
think.
last trailer I think showed Cal going in, like meeting them for the first time, and like he just kind of ended up on their ship, and they were all like super confused about each other.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so you get on the ship, and it was cool. The ship has a lot that you can do on it, a lot of different like areas you can go and interact with, and a lot of them seem like systems that we're going to be exploring a lot further in the game. But that's where you can kind of change your lightsaber. That's something that I didn't know was going to be in this game. You
The
can change-
customization of this is obviously, or not obviously, I shouldn't say it like that. Customization for me is going to be one of my favorite parts of this game because when we started it, walking back and exploring the ship, I walked in there and I was like, oh, cool. Oh my god, change the color of your saber, right? Change the color of your outfit, put on a different outfit, do all these different things. And then when we got into the actual gameplay, I was already just being the obsessive Greg I am, where I was trying to find every nook and cranny in every chest. When you find the chest, BD jumps off, it goes in there, scours around, and comes back. And like I was unlocking different colored lightsabers, different outfits,
different paint jobs for the ship.
Yeah, different
Like,
paint jobs for BD. It's like, oh my god, like I'm really gonna be fucking
Okay,
excited.
so
to
I
get
have to ask this because it's an EA game.
Sure.
Did you feel like there were hooks in there for?
microtransactions.
Yeah.
Not that I saw. No.
Okay.
Not at all.
I guess it's totally possible that there can be DLC. You know what I mean? Of like, hey, yeah, totally. Let's, you want to buy a new skin and whatever. But it seemed like everything that I was unlocking and going back to, it wasn't. They were all grayed out, the ones I didn't have, and there wasn't like any of them had a $sign on it. Like, you're gonna click on this and be like, oh, this is only available if you do X, Y, and Z.
everything you're collecting and every way that you collect it remind me a lot of God of War, where it feels like it is going to be just a complete experience.
And I think,
where-
and they've said that too, right? That there's no microtransactions.
yeah,
and
they
stuff.
did, and
They've
I
said that
can't
before
see,
about other games as well.
That's true. That's true.
Great point,
But
you're
I
right.
think it's a different. It's the type of game. I don't
Yeah.
think really.
Yeah, no, I believe
They'd find a
yeah.
way. It's EA. I'm sure they could find a way, but I don't know how they could without it being the most egregious thing ever. Because
I believe after Battlefront 2, they know better than to do this immediately again.
And that was why I think when they got out in front of this, right, their messaging was, remember, like, single player only, no
Yeah,
microtransactions. And, like, so, I mean, granted, we see companies fuck it up every day, but I think that they'd be even especially more egregious, right, if they did it after saying that.
Yeah, the quote was from EA, no microtransactions, no loot boxes, and no, we won't be adding them. A single-player Star Wars story for those of you who are ready to become a Jedi.
I am.
yeah, me too. This game is fantastic. I feel like every preview that I've read, and even myself when we talked to everybody, first off, there was nobody that didn't like it.
Yeah.
Everyone was super high on it.
That we talked to.
We
didn't talk to all
All,
120
yeah, exactly.
people.
But I mean, we did talk to a ton of people, and everyone was super. I feel like we all had the same issues. The biggest glaring issue being signposting.
Yeah.
There was too many times that multiple of us were just totally lost. Where it's just like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing right now or where I'm supposed to be going, and backtracking to figure it out isn't fun.
Well, it's
It
a
doesn't-
Metroidvania, right? So,
Yeah.
like, theoretically, if we started from the beginning, you'd have a better idea in such a direction of what you can do and what certain imagery is supposed to mean to you and your abilities.
And so that to me is a big problem because I don't think that's going to be the case.
Okay.
This game reminds me of a lot of elements of games that I love. There's definitely some Ocarina of Time style dungeons. Like the whole thing, it's not Breath of the Wild, it's Ocarina of Time. Then moving on, a lot of the game's traversal, it feels very Uncharted 4 with the rope, with the sliding, with the way that you're climbing
Just
stuff.
climbing in general.
Yeah, but even then, it feels a little lesser than Uncharted. I feel like this game doesn't do anything as good as the things that it's mimicking. But it does a really good job of taking them all together and making it its own thing that feels really good itself.
And that's kind of what Titanfall 2 was. Like, it wasn't a revolutionary first-person shooter by any means, but it was the most fun first-person shooter campaign in a lot of ways. So like I could trust them to kind of do that with action games as well.
Yeah.
But it did do sliding the best.
Yes, that's true.
So it did nail that.
Yeah. We'll
did you
see with this.
Did you ask them about the signposting or?
Yeah, we talked to them.
What'd they say?
They came over, and I think it was more the easing into it, and that they are seeing people struggle with it. But I think it was the fact. For me, I do think it'll be fixed by playing through it. My what I kept coming back to, right? Like my simplest thing. And granted, it was one level. This is the first time I've played it, and obviously, full disclosure, I did EA Play or whatever. But there, I just interviewed people. Didn't play it. Didn't see anything you didn't see. For me, with this one, like literally, I walked away and I'm like, that's why I play video games. Like that is a Greg Miller-ass video game of third-person action adventure. Here's a great story. Here's a bunch of cool mechanics for you to go play in. I had a ball with this. It was hard to go back to the other games I'm playing for review, not because the other games are bad, but because it was like, okay, this is more. I'm thinking harder on this, or this is an RPG, or this. It's different than how that action RPG felt, if that makes sense. And coming off of like wielding a lightsaber and having force powers mean crazy. For me, it was that getting dropped into this world and going through the temple and doing all these different things. I did appreciate, like, I'm gonna dick down this alleyway or whatever, this like nook and cranny, find this thing, and then I'd be walking to a dark room and like the stormtrooper video would start playing, and I had my fucking lightsaber up like a flashlight, and I was like, this is fucking awesome, and I'm walking around. But then it was the same thing of. Cool. I'd come back out this other corner, right? And then I'd be like, oh, cool, there's a prayer circle. We'll talk about it in a second, where you can replenish your health replenish your health packs. Yeah. No, you sit there and meditate. It's a meditation circle.
But it is.
Sorry. Yes, you're right. You're 100% correct. Yeah. And so I jumped down to it, and then I was like, oh, fuck, this is the place I was just at like a minute and a half ago. And so sure enough, I had to run the exact same winding. Fran, I will take away the toys if you can't focus on the show.
Don't worry about it. I'm listening.
I had to run back the exact same path to get to where I was. And then the real problem for me became, like I was saying, I really wanted to get back to the ship to close the loop, have the next conversation. And it was like, all right, everybody, we're 40 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever. And that's when I went into like panic. You know how people drown because they know how to swim, but they just panic and drown? It was that exact thing of like, fuck. And I opened the map. I'm like, there's no objective list. I didn't even notice till this point. There's no objective list. Open the thing and it's just like, go back to the ship to talk. I'm like, oh, fuck. And I was like, then panicking of how to get back to the ship. So I immediately forgot everything about it being a Metroidvania. So even though I now had the push power, I wasn't going to, on the map, the big green door that I haven't done anything to, or the yellow area indicating something that I hadn't explored. And it was like me trying to figure out and hard mode it back through the thing. Whereas I think when I'm in my living room and I'm playing there, when you go to the map, it says, I remember mine was like 66% of the area is done, right? Like for me, it's going to be that before I go back to the ship, it'll be 100% or get to the very specific points of like, oh, I need pull here, not push.
I clearly don't have the power
I don't have the power I need for this, right? Yeah, I thought that was the bigger thing. It reminds, is Uncharted is definitely an apt comparison, and I agree. For me, it's more the Crystal Dynamics Lara Croft games, the Tomb Raider games, right? Where it is, especially Rise of, where it's this open area environment, right, with a whole bunch of different stuff, and you have to figure out how to get certain places, do certain things, and explore it that way. And I'm all for it. It reminds me of the temples and tombs you saw in Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, of going in there and exploring it and doing every nook and cranny. And that's what I want out of it, with the story, with the powers, with the cool lightsabers, with changing it all up and seeing what it goes on to. And what you're saying of we ran around and fought a bunch of different stuff, which was mainly creatures in this world. Like, you know what I mean? This fucking ram, this goddamn mole rat. And these things were fucking me up. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. The combat is pretty unforgiving. Like, it will fuck you up if you're not playing how they want you to play. And that's where the Dark Souls inspiration and influence comes.
And it's because they're leaning into the Souls game stuff of, in putting it in a Jedi way of, right, Jedis aren't the aggressive type, right? It is about blocking. It is about waiting for your moment to strike most of the time.
Yeah, when the people that came back from that cover story, they was like, yeah, it's really like Sekiro.
Yeah.
Which is like, when you initially see that demo, it doesn't play like that at all. But then they put out another demo which looked a lot better and it made more sense of how they actually meant that of blocking and waiting for your moment.
Yeah. And that's exactly what this game is.
Yeah, I was gonna exactly. I remember it looking like Sekiro, but also a little like Batman. Does it play like that at all, or no? No, it's not like you jump between multiple enemies.
Well, you switch your focus or whatever.
Well,
right? Yeah, but it's not like Batman where I'm reversing, doing this stuff, coming out and just not button.
Like you're not doing as much combo between people.
So
much just switching your focus.
I mean, it's more about the focus of getting to eventually where you had the shock troopers coming at you with their things, and then I had regular stormtroopers who were just going to shoot at me, and so it was that thing of who's going to get here first, the blaster bolt from him, so that I can time it right, deflect it back at him, and then take on these guys, or do I need to dodge them, get to them, take that out, come back to them?
Multiple enemies will overwhelm you completely. Like the whole thing, when you see like 6 people, you need to figure out the strategy of who's going to get to me first. I need to take them out in the order that they'll attack me, because once you get hit, you're in an animation where the other guys are just going to trample
It's like the
you.
throne room.
Yeah, kind of. But
It was coming at me first.
but that's the thing is like even the little small enemies that are around, they can be the most annoying because like they'll pop out of the ground.
Yeah,
and,
mole
like,
rats are coming out of the ground.
come
or
at
whatever.
you and just like knock you down. It's just like shit. You didn't expect that. You weren't
But then-
ready for a combat situation.
And that was the thing of then getting, okay, cool, I gotta pay more attention to the world. And
Mm-hmm.
like for the mole rats in particular that would come out of the ground at you, like if you can time it right to block, and I don't know if you did this, if you time it right, he'll slice them in half
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right away with one hit. And I was like, oh fuck, all right, cool. Like,
It's
I
cool.
need to
So
be
a
more
lot of
conscious.
sound cues, a lot of
Yeah.
like waiting for the world to happen around you.
Yeah.
All that stuff is really, really cool. And I thought they did a good job of having enough enemies placed throughout the level that you're going through so that it never felt like you're in a puzzle too long, traversing too long, or in combat too long. It was very well paced of like moving you through and feeling like that you're growing in this world with it. And I loved it the entire time as you're learning the new abilities and stuff. I constantly wanted one more thing. I wanted to, like we were talking about, like throwing the lightsaber. Like,
Oh, yeah,
how
totally.
bad did you want to do that
Yeah.
in this level? And we didn't, even towards the end of it, we didn't get that yet. But we know we're going to.
Yeah,
And,
there's
like,
a
that's
really
gonna be
there's
really
an intense skill
satisfying.
tree in there, right? That is like, obviously the normal stuff of like, do you want to expand your health? Do you want to expand your force time and stuff like that? And they're all linked together and you go out. And again, this is back to the meditation circle where you walk up and you sit down and become one with the force, right? And you can go in there and then apply the skill points you have. You can go in there, like I said, and basically it's literally rest. And if you rest, what happens is it'll refill your inventory of meds, but then it respawns all the enemies. If you cleared out an area and you do that, the enemies are gonna be back there. So if you backtrack or
it
if
is
you're going
scary.
through.
Including the like mini boss characters.
Yeah.
Too. Like there was a bunch of like stone guardian things.
Yeah, the
that-
dudes with the blaster thing in their chest or the ball in their chest.
Yeah,
right?
and like they'll be like the ones that are guarding the puzzle rooms. And if you end up going to one of the meditation things and like heal yourself, it'll respawn even them. So it's kind of like the risk reward of just like, do I just take the lower health that I have and just try to get through this part without having to beat all these guys again, or is it worth it to be able to reset this puzzle room so I can move the balls in peace? You know what I mean?
them balls in peace.
move those
Yeah,
balls
there's
in
that was where like Breath of the Wild, I thought like immediately was influenced right there. Of,
Yeah.
like there's a bunch of puzzles of once you get force push, there's these balls you need to like giant stone balls you need to push down and put them into certain areas and then open up wind tunnels. So they're shooting the balls over the next place and the next thing.
And so
probably-
that's kind of my problem though that I was saying earlier. It's like it
does all
feels
this.
like it looks and like it wants to play like Breath of the Wild, but it plays like Ocarina of Time dungeon design wise, where you want when you see these balls and like the way that they're glowing, like they have this like blue glow, it looks exactly like the Breath of the Wild with all the physics based stuff.
Yeah.
But
temple stuff.
it doesn't play that way where you don't just attack it and like send it off. It's like you don't have the ability you need to deal with this until later, and then you're like, oh, now I can force push it. But then it becomes super obvious exactly what you need to do. And it's not so much physics based as much as it's stand in this place, hit it, it's going to go exactly on this on rails kind of Rube Goldberg machine type thing through a bunch of like air vents and stuff. And like to me, it just felt like it was presented in this really like kind of epic way of you figuring something out, but you're not actually figuring anything out. You just get the ability that allows you to do the thing. And I was a little let down by that because that's to me what made it feel like I feel like I was lost because I expected more from it.
Yeah, like
You
it's gonna
overthought
be
it.
a puzzle.
Yeah, I totally overthought it, and it's like it's early in the game, but
Yeah, I hope that changes. It's funny because when you guys, as much as sure it's inspired by Ocarina and certainly now Breath of the Wild, but like it sounds like Metroid Prime to me, actually, in a ton of ways.
I think that the Metroid comparisons are only coming from the map. Because it looks, the map is identical to the Metroid Prime map, the 3D kind of room.
Yeah, I haven't
figuring
even
all
seen
out.
it. It's actually just the way you're describing, like the way that the enemies are laid out, and then you get to a room. And well, the reason I was thinking about it was the morph ball in Metroid Prime, and it would break up, with just sort of going through like a little like maze thing. But certainly in terms of getting powers in some ways. But I haven't
But to
played
me,
it.
it just feels more like the Zelda dungeons. Of you get the thing that allows you to push through the one level of doors to allow you to reach the rest of the dungeon, face the boss, get the new thing,
Yeah.
leave, right? But it's really good. And the thing is, for me, it's combining all these things that I love. God of War being another one. Like the combat feels very much like God of War, where you do need to pay a lot of attention. It's not just a hack and slash. They're really good about being able to change difficulty levels on the fly, where if you're getting your ass kicked, you can go down. If you want a better challenge, you can go up, and you're also rewarded differently for it, which is great, being able to change that as you're going through if you want to get a bit more experience points in an area that you know you can easily take down.
Yeah, I thought what was interesting playing it was that, I think when you look at it even, you're like, well, how's it different than Force Unleashed, right? Whereas I think Force Unleashed was about unleashing the Force and overpowering and really destroying stuff, right? Whereas it does feel like because he is, obviously, but he is a Jedi, right? So it is this restrained, wait it out, feel it out, be the smartest guy in the room rather than the most powerful guy in the room.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
probably know the answer to this question, but is there dismemberments?
Not for any
Gameplay.
human characters. No, well, yeah, there's one. Not like any of the humanoids, you didn't do it. So no stormtroopers, none of those guys. But like I said, when the monster jumped out, I sliced him in half.
Okay.
It's more quick time events, though. It's more like pre-campaign.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's not like
Metal Gear
physics-based. Yeah,
Rising
my apologies,
style,
my
apologies.
cutting things off.
Okay, makes sense.
And that's something that I think
And there's
they-
one cutscene that we saw where one guy gets a hand lopped off.
Well, you have to, yeah.
They did a good job making the gameplay, even though you have a lightsaber, it feels right that it doesn't cut everything in half. Like, there's stormtroopers, like the normal just stormtroopers, one reflection of a laser
bolt,
will take them down. Or one slice of lightsaber, they're done. It's not like you're going and just like slashing at
they're,
them,
like,
slashing at
constantly.
them. But the ones that have, like, the shock troopers that have a thing, it's like, it makes sense because they're blocking with that. But if you get the good hit on them, like, 2 hits will take those guys down. And it's like, I like the way that you don't feel overpowered, but you feel adequately powered for having a freaking lightsaber. You know?
Yeah.
And I thought that every time that you're facing enemies, they'll give you the perfect amount to come at you to make that challenging and not feel like you can just overpower them by running in and just slash. And that is a big difference from Force Awakens, where it plays a lot more like a Souls game than it does a Devil May Cry game.
Do you know if it has a hard mode? If you want to jump
Yeah.
into that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can just jump in, start hard mode. if you want.
Master, or I think
Be
it's Jedi
all
Master.
over that. I like to play games like that. Games like that until I really need my skills. And that was a segue, as I was still curious, how did the upgrades and skills work? Is it all through meditation? And in other words, do you just defeat a mini boss and a boss and you have points that accumulate and you
You're
go spend them?
earning XP. But you're not leveling. It's not like you're building to be in a level 3 Jedi. There's an XP bar that as you fight fills in, and when it hits the thing, you get a skill point.
And you can
then
get that XP from anywhere. It's just the amount varies.
Yeah,
depending on
exactly.
the enemy.
I'm sure behind the scenes you are leveling, right?
Got
So it's
it.
like there's a leveling curve where it's going to take more and more to fill the bar.
So you don't like have to go get a certain skill from behind some area where you fight a certain boss, and it's
No,
really
it's
like
like
Now-
Final Fantasy X sphere grid style. Still
One
tree.
quick thing to point out, which just to be clear and straightforward, right? There's nothing in terms of like the skill points, but in terms of force push and pull, you're not getting those from the skill tree.
that's what I want. So you do get. How do you get that stuff?
That's
that is
Zelda
story
dungeon
based.
style.
Okay, so you do unlock those abilities from the temples and all.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Like
So
we
it does
got
that
force
mix.
push because we went through and learned about it and got
In the
through
push temple.
Oh, cool.
On this
I was hoping
specific planet.
that's how it works.
No.
So.
This is a question that might not have an answer from the demo, but obviously this takes place between the prequels and the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Does it feel like it has stakes and like a grander thing within the Star Wars universe, or is it like a side? Because it's like one of the last Jedis,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is an important thing at that timeline.
Yeah.
Like, does it feel that it's going to be like, this is a historical footnote that no one really cares about? Or does Cal's thing have like, this just happens to be like a Rogue One thing that we never really talked about, but here is the story of it?
There's things that we can't talk about, like some of the. There's only a couple things that like do not mention this in your previous stuff, and I feel like that answers this a bit more. But this thing starts with like our demo started with you get on the ship and there's a holocron that you open up, and it's Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith being like, "Yo, the Jedi are fucked. They're hunting us down." Like it's the same message that you give, and immediately I'm like, "Whoa, this is cool." It makes it feel like it matters more than even like Battlefront 2's story did,
Right.
right? And you get hints at characters, the planets that you see, like some of the stuff that they're going through. I'm like, this is about to be really good. We saw another thing, Saw Gerrera's in it. This is definitely closer to Rogue One and Episode 4 than it is to Episode 3.
Right.
Because there's a ton of like actual stormtroopers that you're facing, obviously, and all of that. I think that they understand that they need the story to matter, and for his story to mean more than just, oh, Here's a Jedi.
I'm a
They
Jedi
need
on
to
the
be
run.
one of the Jedis, you know?
Right.
And the story elements we did see that we can't talk about, like, I thought were very interesting, and I can't wait to keep playing this and see where it goes. I think the story is going to be the thing that I like the most about this game.
How does that handle that through either rendered cutscenes or in-game cutscenes or just people talking to you while you walk?
So
How you consume the story?
It's cutscenes, I'd say, the most are for the story stuff, because he's alone most of the time, at least in what we played. It's him and the droid. But that's mostly just kind of like little like quirks and, you know, quips and stuff. But at any point on the D-pad, you can hit down and he'll give you a hint. The droid will give you a hint on if you're stuck in the puzzle or whatever. And
I didn't know that. I should have used that.
Yeah, I mean, it was never like super
don't do
helpful, but like it was enough of like, oh,
A
hey,
nudge of go that
yeah,
way, do
like
this, yeah.
like oh, we should look in this room a little more, like that type of thing.
I like, and
thought that was
there's
cool.
a gameplay with him that I'm sure it'll be tied to trophies, and I don't know if I get XP from it, but when you go, he's on your back, obviously, but he'll hop off and like, and it's like he wants to scan something. Like,
Yeah,
you're
I
like,
remember seeing some
You're
of
filling
that.
out some glossary, I think, in there of like, you know, like, and it's like, it's not like beat
like
you over the
lore
head
stuff.
Star Wars stuff. It's like, oh, he scanned like some, one of the guys who was like entombed, and I was like, oh, okay.
So actually, that is the other Metroid Prime.
Yeah, I was about to say,
element
that's
with,
Metroid.
with the scanning, but I liked it a lot because in Metroid Prime, that game is so much more about just like taking in the world, stopping, scanning
Yeah.
things, and learning. I loved how they're like, that's a cool idea, but we need to keep moving.
Yeah, if you want to do
He'll
it.
pop off, go scan it himself. You can keep walking as he's scanning it.
Oh, you
and
don't have
it'll-
to find it?
It'll trigger.
No, you find
You
it.
find it.
You said about it.
But you just hit a button and then you just keep moving.
Oh,
While he,
they
You
don't
don't
make
have to
you
sit there while he
sit there and
scans.
scan.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But then what's cool is there's like these weird force memories that you can kind of get from things where you can walk over and like you just hit the button and he looks at it for a sec, BD or whatever his name is, does his thing. And then as you're walking with the character, it'll trigger a story bit where you hear
It's
memories.
like flashbacks. Yeah,
Like,
you're finding like echoes of the Force or whatever.
that's what they're called. Echoes of the Force. So it'll be like
of the Force.
you'll find a stormtrooper's helmet, like a bloody helmet. And you can
Ew.
trigger the memory of how he died. And it'll just like you hear like these random voice things or like shots and stuff, and it's like you just get a bit of story of like
And
what had happened. Here
And it's the
before.
thing of like
Interesting?
for us in this temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's because it's not random. It was very much that I forget the guy's name. We were following in the footsteps of one dude, a Jedi. So it was all tied to his progression
Okay.
through the temple and what he was doing.
It
what he
wasn't
found.
just like here's the clone.
no,
whatever.
It was
Okay.
very much like I think he's the guy who didn't discover Force or or push or whatever.
Yeah.
He was doing something that was related to us getting.
I like the
sword.
idea of that guy who discovered the
Whoa,
first
guys! Fucking do
Look what
this!
I can do.
Yeah, Shriv is the name of the character from Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah. And then when it comes to the significance of the story, Imran, like I haven't played the game, so I'm just this is just like fan speculation and hopefulness. I don't know like how much it'll tie into the importance of like the overall like story of Star Wars and the saga and whatnot. But what I hope it does, it just gives us this character Cal and gives his story some significance that we are feeling for him and feeling this journey, similar to Ezra, who is one of the main characters of Rebels, where it does things to tie into the grander story, but it's not like oh man, like I view the movies differently because of this story, which is like what Rogue One tried to do. I'm also super fascinated of like how much this might tie into Rebels. Not like you need to watch the show to like understand things, but it would be cool if we got like. You're talking about like Dathomir, like Darth Maul is like a big character.
I
in
think
Rebels.
it's gonna be a lot, man.
And then like the second sister, the
Yep.
Yeah, the
Inquisitors
Inquisitors.
were like a big part of the Rebel story, and then Saw Gerrera is also in Rebels. So like I hope we get, because I think this is around the time it's got to be a little bit of like Ezra, and I forget how to say his name. I think it's Kanan. Who's like the Jedi Master? Like I hope we-
Qui-Gon of him.
of that show. I'm so fucking excited.
Dude, no, I definitely think that's exactly what they're doing.
Hell
The
yes.
sisters are the antagonists of this game from what they showed us. The
Okay.
big boss fight that Greg was talking about that they showed us before we played, it was like, oh, you're not going to be prepared to do this, was the ninth sister.
Yeah, was she the one in the Vader comic? So that's one of the
there's
tie-ins. Is
so
that
many.
one of the sisters is from the Vader comic, which was a very good comic series, from what I understand. But I'm not
Yeah,
sure which of the.
I haven't
two
read the
it was.
new Vader
Yeah.
one. I read the first Vader run with Dr. Aphra and stuff, but I don't know about this.
Like the
but-
Friends told me the new Marvel Comics one is like legitimately one of the best things they put out right now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, I only know the show, which has the 5th brother, the 7th sister, and the 8th brother.
This one, we have 2nd and 9th so far. So I imagine we're going to see a ton
I
of
thought
them.
I thought the second was just going to be the one antagonist from what we saw from the trailer. So it's interesting that they're leaning more into that. That's fucking cool.
The planet seemed cool that we were on. I liked the amount of space that we were allowed to kind of run around was interesting, and I liked the use of shortcuts where the moment you get to an area, you can kind of like cut a thing that puts a rope
Yeah,
down
sure.
so that it allows you to traverse the area a little bit easier. And it always felt like it came at the right time. Like the moment that I was like, oh man, I'm not going to want to walk
Go
all the way back
over
there.
there,
There'd be
yeah.
something that got me where I needed to go without fast travel or whatever.
Worth pointing out to your point of it's trying to be a lot of different games, and you can see the inspirations, but it's not nailing it as much. One of them for me to bring up, I think, was the frustration I had with those ice luges. Of like, they have like you jump on it and you slide down, and you've got to like bank around the curves and stuff. I was flying off them a lot, and then there was one in particular where coming down the ice luge or whatever, there's one rope hanging, and I must have died like 4 or 5 times before. I think I died twice. Got the rope, swung over to jump to wall jump, and wasn't in the right area to jump, and just fucking plummeted. I'm like, oh my god, and have to keep doing it, and then fall off the side of the fucking ice thing. Like again, I've been dropped further into this game. Hopefully, by the time I get there, I've learned more about illusion and whatever. But
I just doubt it. Like, and then
That I do doubt. I do doubt as well. I do doubt as well.
But the good thing about that is when you die there, you're right back there. There's no bullshit you have to go through. It loaded
Is it
so
like-
quickly, and you're just
That's
like,
all
you're
true.
right at it.
That's great too. But it is when you die in a fight, you go back to where you meditated last and rested last. So like there was a couple where it was like I was going, and it was that. Now granted, risk reward, right? Of like, well, I can fall back. I'm down to like half my health, and I have no more stim packs or whatever, so I can keep pushing forward or go back. And then I got cheaply rocketed, and I was like,
But it's not like control annoying kind of thing of like die then reload for a very very long time.
No. It was
Okay.
fast enough to go back there. And again, I think when I'm in the moment and I have all the time in the world to play it, I'm gonna be like, no, fuck these guys. I want to go back and reflect the thing right and get them.
That's the other cool thing is like it reminds me of Shovel Knight a lot, where you're gaining all this experience, and then if you were to die with the character, you get sent back to the last meditation point, but
You lose your XP.
you lose everything. But if you go back and fight that enemy again, you get it back.
So does it disappear like Dark Souls style if you die again?
Yeah, is it physical on
Again,
the
I'm
ground?
not sure. It just pops back and you just get it.
Okay.
Yeah, when you
The
get
thing
there,
kinda
the dude that
glows.
killed you is glowing, and so if you
Okay.
go up and
Okay.
I think it's just get a hit on him, right? That you get,
Yeah,
or
and then
them.
you get the
Oh,
stuff
so it
back.
saves all
That's
your progress
Bloodborne.
to
That's
Yeah.
straight up Bloodborne.
Yeah, see, I didn't play Bloodborne, so
Yeah.
I don't know about that. But it's just like that in Shovel Knight. So there's this like risk reward thing of like, where do I want to save last to not have to do it all, but to get more.
Okay.
And it's cool.
fit.
Like I feel like I'm coming off a lot more negative about this than I actually
No, it sounds
feel.
interesting. Like you're kind of selling me on it. Like I've been interested
excited.
in this game for a while, but EA has been so quiet about it. I've been frustrated.
And also, EA has just made such shitty decisions for so long that
Yeah.
it's hard to believe there's going to be a good single player Star Wars game.
Yes.
And, like, there is. This game is going to be at the very least good. Hopefully, it's going to be amazing. And I think
Right.
that it does have the potential to be amazing because all of the things that I'm talking about of the games of what it's mimicking, even if it doesn't do them as good as those games, it does them very well.
Right.
And adding that together, it does have its own identity. It feels good moving around. Like, it feels good to fight. Like, all of it feels right. It feels like how a Star Wars game should. And I love that the characters, the story, and the way the gameplay progression is being shown to us so far. And the idea of us playing 3 hours and only doing one planet, I get the feeling there's going to be a lot of planets. Like, I think this game is going to be pretty sizable, and I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I was wondering if they said anything about that, like any expectation of length of time, of gameplay time, or
No, but I definitely think it's going to be like God of War, where it's like you go and in God of War when you see all the realms.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's going to be very similar to that.
It'd be like a nice chunky.
I hope there's
30
that
hours.
much. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
God of War for me was a ton of hours. I mean, I'm actually still there.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I would be excited just for a Star Wars game that's AAA because I want to put a thing on my screen that makes Star Wars noises at me. But like
It does that very well.
Yeah, if it does that and is also a great game, then I'm actually really into it.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I'm ready.
I think in
Ready to
a
pre-order,
year
perhaps.
where personally I've been like, oh man, a lot of good games, not a lot of games that have like blown my hair back. This is one where I was like, holy shit, like I can't wait to play more of this.
Yeah.
Did you guys play it on PC?
Of course.
We did.
Lame.
Yeah. So
His hair looks
brand
good.
new.
He got that. Cal's got those hair physics. He's got the strand
does.
blowing in it. We'll see how many I get on my PlayStation.
They announced today that on Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, there's going to be 2 modes: performance mode and
Oh, good. So it should have a frame rate. Yeah.
Resolution.
Always take frame rate.
And they said they're not going to
Yep.
hit 60 consistently, but that's the goal, and then it's going to hit around that.
That's
even in
super
performance
exciting
mode.
because they said that about God of War, and then I was like, I don't see what the problem is. Like, according to Corey and the team, they barely like slipped that in at the end, and they were like a little worried about the frame rate changing in God of War. I was like, this is great. I would not want to play the other way, and so that's super
I
important
mean,
to have.
Titanfall 2 performed, to my recollection, quite well. So
That performed awesome.
And that game, even if it did have weird fluctuations or wasn't always the right frame rate, it felt good to play, like from a motion to motion perspective. So if they nail that same kind of feeling, I'm super into it.
I can't
Worth
wait.
pointing out
excited.
too, the other planet. I only played the one planet, but then looking at other people's screens and watching them play, that looked so much different than where we were.
Oh, yeah.
And also looked interesting of like him crawling around on a ATA that was or AT-AT that was moving or whatever, but it had like moss all over it, so like he was hanging on it.
They showed that either behind closed doors or in the trailer.
Okay.
Like, because
That
I
was
saw
my first
that
time
one.
seeing it in motion.
You like
extended.
you're grabbing on like
Yeah,
this
that
moss
was
and
the
swinging
the first demo they showed. Had
Yeah,
that bit.
I don't know. Have they shown that to the public? I thought
They did
have.
eventually.
Yeah. We got some questions here. Harry Hoodlum says, how does the movement feel? Respawn killed it with Titanfall and Apex Legends, so hopefully like butter.
Feels great. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was something you started into, and then I think we got distracted with, right, where you're talking about comparing it to an Uncharted or even Tomb Raider. To your point, there was a few times, right, where, I'm going to be able to climb up that, and you go and you do that, like, wall scurry from, like, Uncharted 1. You're like, I should totally be able to jump up there, but I can't, or I'm not approaching it at just the right angle. Like, there's little things like that. But overall, like, running, jumping, walking across wires, falling off of them, and then, army crawling across them and stuff. Like, I thought it all felt really well. Looked really good.
Totally agree. Matt Phillips says, is Fallen Order's lightsaber as satisfying as the Leviathan axe? No. But I have 2 things. 1, I don't think any weapon ever will be again. 2, I feel like I want to play a little later in the game and see what other skills I get. Because like I was saying, I wanted to throw it and it wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
So in the limited bit that I had here, it feels good, but it's not super satisfying. Like there's nothing uniquely lightsaber about it.
I'm just imagining someone recalling the lightsaber and it's like losing their hand.
Jesus.
It's like, damn it, again.
William Jepma says, how realistic does the lightsaber combat feel? Is it dismemberment or is it an admittedly very cool baseball bat? I'm pretty easy to please when it comes to Star Wars, but I've never loved the way lightsabers felt in
That's
the video
true.
games.
Because they can't put a dismemberment in one of these games without mods.
Yeah.
'Cause it doesn't
I
allow
don't think you're going to love this if you haven't before, but it feels better and different than Force Unleashed. And we're just kind of repeating ourselves, but I think it is because that it forces you to act more Jedi-like and play it slower and do all that. So that's cool.
Agreed.
And then Nick Verge writes in and says, I'm curious about if you think this might be a good introduction to From Software games for people who've never played them. Also, there seems to be a lot of gamey elements. Did that clash with your vision of the Star Wars universe?
For the first part, Nick, it could be, yeah. Like, I think that's an interesting way of like slowing yourself down and realizing how to counter, how to use hit windows, when to strike rather than that. Not to mention dodge, right? Like that was jumping in there and like picking it up and getting going. Like, oh, okay. So like lock onto somebody, easy 1v1, right? To try to get around them. Even though there's certain things that like when they flash red and charge you, you have to dodge there rather than try to block. Your blocks can only last so long for certain things. It'll be an interesting way because I still feel like those games are so different. Those games have even different windows, I think, on how punishing they are in terms of what you need to do or how specific you need to be. But if you crank up the difficulty here, it could be.
Yeah, I
But
definitely think it is because for me it is, right? Like this is what it would take for me to play this type of game, just throw Star Wars on it.
Sure, but I mean, do you think you're going to come off this and be like, oh man, I love that gameplay so much, I want to go play Bloodborne?
Raul says, does Jedi Fallen Order's clear inspiration from Soul-style games make you want to give those games a shot? No, not at all. I need Star Wars wrapping around it.
Yeah.
But
For me, it kinda
just
works
for
the
that
other way.
style of game, though, it's like...
It works the other way where that
No, like I love Souls games so much. Like I'm more interested in this game. Like I have Battlefield 2 and I played through single player a little bit.
Yeah.
But like it never really hooked me that much.
Sure.
This one it sounds more interesting from like as someone who loves character action style games.
Yeah.
This way more interesting because of that.
Yeah, like for me, it's like, it's the combat feels in even skill trees, I guess, that remind me so much of Odyssey for Assassin's Creed, where it is at least how I played Odyssey of dodging specifically, targeting, wait for them to screw it up, then you come in and kill them, and then go and play it out. That's why I'm stoked for it. Same thing for me, where as not being a big Souls person, I've tried them before. Obviously, I've never completed one, so I guess not being a Souls person would be a better way to say that. I enjoy the gameplay of it, but the fact that I've never had one that has a story that's compelled me to go through and be part of that world. This is why I'm excited for this one.
Final question here is from Charles Jacobson. Honestly, just want to hear, how is Cameron Monaghan as Kyle Kestis? I loved him in Gotham. He was one of the main reasons to keep watching. So being optimistic about Kyle as a character since the reveal.
Thought he was great. Thought his performance was really good. He seems like, that young, plucky, like, hey, I'm in this and I need to figure this out. Why are we doing this stuff? Like, I liked that aspect of him, and I liked how he interacted with BD, right? Like, BD he's like, any jokes, BD? And he's like, I don't know why. Classic. Like, that was great. Like, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's a very nice man. We met him at the canteen.
We did meet him. I liked his performance a lot. I think that his character so far is the thing I'm least interested in of the characters.
He doesn't look wrong. He just looks kind of boring. Like,
I think that they're gonna address that though.
Okay.
Like, I have a feeling that this is gonna grow, and by the end of this game, I'm gonna really care about him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think it's because you don't know anything about him in the front, right? Like, I mean, I feel like we know the whole thing of like he's been in hiding, something went wrong, he used his powers, oh god, or whatever.
I think that it's that, but combined just
Isn't that what? Or am I confusing Magneto from that X-Men?
Well, it's just more like everything we
Catch
know
up with
about
Nazis.
Star Wars characters. Like, looking at this guy and with where he's at and the way that he sounds, just like, all right, cool, you're just another one.
Yeah,
It's like, but I feel like I'm already, like, with the jokes and stuff like that. The relationship with the droid is fantastic, and it's like I want to see him outshine the droid.
Yeah.
And I think that we'll get there, but from what we saw, I would say that he's less interesting to me than
even in the boss fight
Mad
we saw,
TV
though,
Woman
right?
or Greasy.
That's a good pull. That's a really good pull. But even in the boss fight we saw with one of the sisters, right?
Ninth.
Thank you very much. Like, I thought he had that in it, right? Where she's talking shit and owning him, or whatever, and when he inevitably beats her, right? Like, he has that, like, and he's like, that's what it is to be a Jedi, or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like,
That was cool. That was definitely
There's
cool.
more of those moments of like, no, fuck, this is who I am.
Hopefully it gets more complex than that. I mean, I hope that's the reveal here, is that you think that he's a little like, he kind of looks like a standard, Jedi that you'd expect, and then maybe he encounters
Turns
some
out
kind of
he's Darth
struggle.
Vader's other kid.
Yeah, like hopefully there's some like
shit, dude.
complex, like he really faces a problem. Maybe he gets hurt, maybe he gets a scar, like whatever it is. I'd love to see it go
And just
in that
like
direction.
just the kind of premise of his character, right? Or like when we're thinking timeline wise, he was not a little child, but he was pretty young when Order 66 happened, if we're thinking this is close to episode 4. So it is an interesting perspective of what his arc will be, because he only like learned so much of what it is to be a Jedi, and then for him to go on that journey on his own after the like Order. I'm a fucking nerd.
I'm really excited for you to play this. There's some things, again, that I can't go into the details
Yeah, I
of, that
know.
they're gonna, like, they're making this the game that you're looking for.
Fuck yeah.
Sounds cool.
story-wise.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
excited!
sounding so good. I have a feeling they already have the sequel set up for
yeah,
next
I
gen,
hope
and
so.
it's going to end in a cliffhanger kind of thing, and it sounded good to me, man.
Yeah.
The hard difficulty should be called Order 66.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that a lot. Before we get on to the next game, let me tell you about our sponsors. It's good. Luigi's Mansion 3, Greg.
Yeah.
Who wants to be a Ghostbuster?
This is it's coming out on Halloween.
Right.
You and I have had it for like a week now.
Sure.
And this is the preview embargo's
very
up.
much the
Review
preview.
embargo's not up, so we can only talk about a good chunk of the game. I have played through 8 chapters or 8 floors of this
of the
because
mansion.
it's the way that this works is Luigi's Mansion 3 takes place in a hotel. Every floor of the hotel is kind of a different level. As you go through, each has its own vibe, its own style. Like, one will be based on it's the theater room, so there's like a bunch of fun like film stuff going on, or one will be like the
Parking garage.
the parking garage, or like the plant area where it's like
Yeah.
there's just a bunch of
Cool.
like fun little plants and poisonous things.
Yeah, I did that in the arena, a couple of demos, like the Gladiator
Yes,
arena.
which is later in the game than I expected it to
Really?
be.
Because
Actually,
that was like the first demo they showed us.
Yeah, so actually going here is Alexis Lopez says, how are the controls for Luigi's Mansion 3? The E3 demo didn't feel too great. I'm not sure if they had a chance to play it and could compare. Did you play it at E3?
I played it at E3. I haven't played the final build.
Yeah.
But
So what'd you think of the E3 controls?
The E3, they felt a little stilted. Like, it felt like, maybe like a little bit of lag between when you try to pull back in a vacuum and something actually happening. But by the time I played it at PAX, I didn't notice any problems. So maybe they tightened that up, or maybe it was just kind of like the E3 demo wasn't like
That's what-
there are technical issues or something. I'm not sure.
I didn't notice that at E3, but maybe it's because I've been playing since the very original, and it might just have some of that, call it archaic feel. But
Yeah.
I normally would pick up on stuff. I didn't notice that at all.
I definitely noticed it at
Really?
the E3 one. Yeah, and it's fixed. That
Okay.
stuff's fixed. The controls. This is such a Nintendo game, man. Like everything about it, from its charm being 10 out of 10 to its design being really quirky and backwards in a lot of ways, but like they're going to make you play the game the way that they want you to. And the controls are one of those aspects. This game controls like no game I've ever played before, including the previous Luigi's Mansions. Luigi's Mansion 1 on GameCube, fairly limited what you could do. You're moving around, and you are just kind of aim in the vacuum, and then you suck, and that's pretty much it, right? You hold away the direction
That's how I live
from
my life.
where the ghost is going, and then Dark Moon on 3DS, lacking the analog stick, that kind of made you just play it differently, but they adapted the gameplay style to be a bit more straightforward for puzzle solving and that. On this one, this feels like the first modern Luigi's Mansion game where you really are using the two sticks to be able to move, strafe, and look vertically and horizontally with the stick. Sucking things, blowing things, all of the fun stuff, all the jokes in the comments below. And I feel like it never quite clicks, but when you play it long enough, you're just like,
This is what it is.
this is what it is. And I get it, and it doesn't feel bad. It just feels unlike other games.
It feels unique.
Yeah.
That was the thing with me when I started it and I was playing it. I was like, why is this not? Why? It's not that I was struggling, but it wasn't doing what I thought it should be doing. And it wasn't until like I go to capture a ghost or aim and really use the vacuum where it was like, oh, stop moving Luigi and just stand in one place and use
Right.
the right stick. And it's like, okay, I see what I was.
It definitely feels too complicated at first.
Yeah, right. And that was the thing of it's similar to what we're talking about with Star Wars, right? Where I'm making it harder than it has to be. Like this is how the game controls. Stop moving, do it this way, you'll be okay. And then it was like, oh, okay, cool. Now I got it, and I'm out there doing it.
Pro tip
Here
for
we
the
go.
controls, and this is another very Nintendo thing, is the best way to play it is it by default motion controls are on, and they only do the vertical for the like the Y axis
Right.
of the flashlight,
Like Splatoon.
So it's like Splatoon.
Yeah.
So you're moving with the left stick. Then you are moving the flashlight left and right with the right stick, but then you're moving up and down with the with the gyro of
I think
the,
I turned that
the
off
Pro
or something,
controller.
maybe.
You could,
Yeah.
but that's the best way to play for actually like hitting all the areas you need hit with the precision to like find the coin that's hidden up in the corner or whatever. And it's fun. Like the moment when you like suck the ghost and you feel it, like there's a physicality to it when you are using the gyro that I really like. And I feel like if you're playing this game in like longer stretches, like anything over an hour even, like you get in the zone and you hit that uniqueness where you're like, I get how I'm playing this game and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I feel that the challenge is appropriate where I never died. I don't think I'm going to die in the whole game. But that's okay because it's not the point, right? There's enough hearts that they're throwing out that you're never really in trouble of a boss fucking you up too much where you don't figure out the pattern. Like they're kind of giving you the ample time and ample ability to realize what the weak point is and what you're doing wrong. And I think that is the strength of this game. Is it reminds me of Breath of the Wild a lot, where every single thing you need to do you have from the beginning of the game. You're not learning abilities that are going to change like puzzle solving elements, and I think that it's good because the puzzle just get more and more creative.
Yep.
So you'll be in a room and you're just like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. I guess I need to come back later when I have this ability.
This 100% happened to me.
And then you hit this point where you're like, no,
Yeah.
I have what I need right now.
I went like
I
two
need
rooms
to figure
away
this
and
out.
used, I think, the plunger on, just to fire it out and you vacuum up the end of the plunger and you can rip doors down or whatever. I went away, did that, and then I was like, I'm an idiot. That's what I was supposed to do on that one thing that I hadn't seen before. Went back, did it, I feel accomplished, get the key, go to the next room. It's like, the way I've been describing it to people, right, is it's delightful. Like it's a fun little cartoon that I'm romping through, having a good time, vacuuming stuff up. I think the opening cutscene and all that stuff, that was really well done in terms of like, oh man, all right, you're setting me up for an actual story here. And again, for somebody who is such a Sega kid who doesn't have that attachment to like Nintendo from the young age, to jump in there and get that kind of thing, I was like, oh man, this feels different than it normally does, and I'm getting more of this. And and I played the other Luigi Mansions. Going deeper into it and playing through it, and like you're saying, finding the environments and then having it be that like, all right, cool, like the gameplay is easy. I haven't died either. Sometimes the gold ghost will get away or whatever, who has the more loot or whatever. Because I'm like, damn, I didn't get the line. I didn't get pull back at the right moment or whatever. the hidden items in every level, right? Where there's gems or music notes or whatever. Like that's fun to see. I'm like, oh fuck, how do I get there and start thinking that out? I think Luigi, which is such a goofy name, is a fun mechanic where I do actually like using him and like, oh cool, he can go through here. What's the puzzle on the other side? You know, you see a vent in a mirror and like you got to get that to appear with your black light flashlight and all this crap. Like there's a lot of fun going on. It's just a fun like puzzle box. It's a fun little toy.
Are either of you playing it co-op?
No.
Have you tried co-op?
No.
So I played it at PAX, like the demo they had there. It was co-op with Nintendo Rep, and it sucked because the Rep was just doing everything for me, and like they were handling all the ghosts, and I was just like walking around vacuuming leaves. Then like I did it again with Reb, and we played that together, and it was a fuck ton more fun.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed it because we were working together to defeat ghosts, and it became a much more like fun thing of us solving puzzles and figuring it out because like she would notice things I wasn't noticing. So I really actually, if you had asked me a year ago, like, would you want to play Luigi's Mansion co-op? I'd be like, no, that's a game that I play myself.
Under no circumstances.
Yeah, but then like now I kind of want to go do that now because it feels like they did build that game with co-op in mind. Not necessarily like that it's necessary, but it's more fun
thought
that
about
way.
it.
Yeah,
That's interesting because playing through it, I would not want to play this game co-op.
Really?
Like, I really like. I feel like every single room is just big enough for me to take enough time to get through and like find the secrets. And if there was more happening on the screen, I feel like it would be distracting. Because the biggest thing to me, and this is like the worst element of this game to me, is the moment we got to the store. That opens up a whole different element to the game that I think detracts from the experience. Luigi mentioned one, you're collecting these coins, you're collecting the dollar bills, and like you're just sucking them up, and it feels good to be able to just collect, and you just see this number go up. And unlike other games, that number just keeps going up. You get into the thousands of having this, and you don't know what you're using it for, but then at the end of the game, you buy the mansion, and like depending on how much money you have, you get a bigger, cooler mansion, whatever. And I feel like there's the power of the unknown there, of going in and just being like, I'm not using this money to buy health packs or buy skill trees or buy whatever. It's like, I'm just collecting this thing to collect it. And the fact that it's everywhere, I feel like motivated me to want to collect every single coin that I could find. Look in every single corner because I don't know what this money's for, right? And then even once I found out what the money was for, I'm like, oh, I need the biggest mansion. Like that is going to be a worthy thing to collect all this stuff for.
Right.
This game, I played that way for the 4 levels or whatever that you get to do until you unlock the store. And then the things I can buy at the store, I'm like, oh man, this is just like if I die, it's kind of like a Phoenix down. I'm like, cool, I can do that. Or I can buy this thing that gives me a little more powerful of a blast or whatever for temporary. And I'm like, oh man, so the money's not really worth anything then. Like I feel like
I don't want any of these.
I don't want these things.
It's the opposite of like Jedi, right? Where I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to level up more, unlock this skill, that skill, and then get that skill.
Totally.
You can see the tree.
it kind of feels like it takes away from the whimsy of it a little bit.
It does. And it's just weird design choice. And I feel like it's kind of a step backwards for the Luigi's Mansion series. But besides that, I love the way things unfold at the pace that they unfold. The boss fights are super inventive and creative, and as both visually and mechanically as they ever have been. And I think that this game visually could use a lot of help. I don't really love the art style is great. The technical side of it, it technically runs well, but it doesn't look good.
It looks like a 3DS game in HD.
And that is my problem, is I feel like at its core, this game started as a 3DS game.
If you're a pre-show person, this is what I was talking about. Of like when I came home after playing on my handheld, I'm like, great, and dropped in the dock, and I was like, whoa, fuck, this does not look good. And I texted you, I'm like, you ruined me with this damn TV you had me get.
Yeah, and granted, I've had the OLED TV for my entire Switch run.
Yeah.
So I'm used to.
Same.
Nintendo does have a look on that TV that is very very saturated, and it's hard
Very
to
Gaussian blur. Everything. Yeah.
Yes, it's hard to balance it compared to PS4 and Xbox One games that are much more designed for this type of experience. But having said that, when you play Odyssey, you don't notice because Odyssey is so well designed visually.
I noticed like the first 3 minutes, and then I stopped noticing.
But it's like
Yeah.
it's just you don't care. Whereas with this, I feel like it doesn't look great on handheld or docked, and that's the first party Switch game that I felt that way about. Because usually I'll be like Breath of the Wild's a good example where it's like it looks great because of the art style. Sure, it could look better and more HD and all that stuff, but it looks great. When you play it on the smaller screen, it looks fantastic because it's condensed in a way where the emptiness feels a bit more designed. Luigi's Mansion, there's just too much going on that's like nitty-gritty little things that on the small screen you lose kind of the the scale of it all.
I mean, this is Next Level's first HD or second HD game because they did Captain America on 360. But like, I imagine they're not super used to making these kind of games yet, or like, just the fact that you have to make a game for 720 and 1080p and make them readable on a 4-inch screen, a 5-inch screen, and a 60-inch screen.
Yeah.
I have to wonder what the resolution and texture resolutions are based on your descriptions, though. It's sounding
Doesn't sound
like
high.
they're getting up-res. Like it sounds like it's not running in 1080p, and that. So we hopefully find out more as the review comes in. It's funny. I played it on, I think, a smaller screen, and I've only seen the trailers on my phone, and I was like, oh, finally, actually, for a Nintendo Switch game, like, looking really good. Feels like there was, like, the lighting, the art design, like, meaning Breath of the Wild looks awesome, but, there's plenty of other games that just don't run as well as they should or kind of feel dumbed down.
It's interesting because it runs.
So I thought it was looking good.
It runs well. The art design's good. It just doesn't look great.
But it sounds like it's soft, is what
It
you
is.
described.
It's very soft,
It sounds like
and
a
it-
texture resolution problem as well as maybe the overall resolution.
And this is a ridiculous exaggeration, but it kind of reminds me of how PSP games look. But the modern version of that.
No,
Where
I know what
PSP
you mean.
games
It's got
always
screen
had
door
this kind
effects
of
and
like,
stuff?
it's not so much screen door effect, but it's like elements of it just don't look right together.
Right.
You'll see.
Yeah,
when you play
I mean,
it.
you
But
may have nailed that too. That it
Frail
was.
never play. It's not going to PC.
No, I've
It
been
doesn't
super
have
excited about this.
120
How
hertz.
dare you?
No,
Dare you.
that stuff doesn't matter because it doesn't get in the way of my enjoyment of the game. Where I really do love what Luigi's Mansion's about, which is fun ghost characters that have stupid little storylines that are all told through sound effects, and they do it well. There's a virtual boy that you get as your cell phone in this game, and it's super
That's cool.
funny. You put it on, everything's red, and like that's the
Doc
way.
makes a lot of jokes about it.
Yeah.
A lot of virtual boy.
It's great, man. I'm having a
still
great time
excited
with
about
it.
it.
You mentioned boss fights earlier, and one of the things that complaints about Luigi's Mansion 2 is like the first boss was amazing, and then every other boss was kind of bad. Like, how are the bosses in this game?
I would say that they're all great so far.
Okay.
All of them.
At least they're consistent, which is good.
Yeah, I don't think there's any that are like stand out like my favorite, but they're all consistently good. I feel like they all fit the vibe of what the floor of the hotel fits very well. And just like the way the music changes and stuff. Like Luigi's Mansion just has such a Disneyland quality to it. It might be Haunted Mansion that's making me think that, but they commit to it. They commit to like, fuck it, this is like nothing the Mushroom Kingdom has ever seen. Like Luigi's Mansion has its own look, feel, sound, all of it, and I love that. I love the use of mirrors constantly. Like the whole game's designed with the perspective of you're looking room to room, so there is so much puzzle elements of like looking at reflections or looking at how windows might work compared to the room next to them, where you look through a window and you're like, oh, there's a wall on that side. I could probably break that wall to cause a thing to happen or whatever, and it's cool. The real E&E writes in and says, is Luigi's Mansion 3 as good as everyone's saying it is? I.e., is it a Game of the Year contender? I definitely don't think it's a Game of the Year contender. I think it's a very good Switch game, but it's not one of the best Switch games.
Is it a top 10 of the year contender?
Top 10 of the year? It'll be on my top 10. I don't think it'll be on
Most people's?
mainstream gamers.
I think it's a very specific thing you got to go in looking for, right? I think
Yeah.
it's hitting at the right time, right? It's a Halloween game.
Halloween.
I would probably put out a little bit earlier, but it's like it is a Halloween game. Do you want to go out there and vacuum up ghosts and have fun? And like we're talking about explore and do all these different things. Yeah, sure, that sounds like a great time. Game of the year again? Yeah, I don't think it would be my game of the year discussion at all. But I think top 10 personal top 10s. I can see it getting on those lists.
And it's weird for me too because not only do I not think it's Game of the Year, it's like I just don't think it's one of the better Nintendo games, and it feels like a AA first party title, and there we
That's
go.
100% fair.
And I'm okay with that. Like I'm
100%.
I'm down to have a lot of those, but it just feels like we keep talking about how like this year feels a little light on amazing games, which is so stupid to say because goddamn how
been a pretty
look
good
at
year.
it. We're so privileged
So
now that
spoiled,
like
yeah. We
just spent an hour
unless we
talking
got
about
God
Star
of War
Wars.
and Horizon and Breath of the Wild, it's like, oh, it's a fun year with just Resident Evil 2 and all those
2017 spoiled us pretty
yeah,
bad.
totally. And next year looks insane as well. But I feel the same way when you just look at Nintendo's lineup, where this year, Mario Maker 2,
Fire
Emblem, Astral Chain, now Luigi, and then we got Pokemon coming soon. It's like none of these are the like giant mega titles that have the potential to be Game of the Year, you know? And I'm interested to see kind of like what Nintendo brings next year to up the ante there. But with Luigi's Mansion, I would say that it's so far 7.5. for me. And I just kind of expect more from a first-party Nintendo game, especially one with Luigi in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you get a chance to try the online stuff at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
It's available to me. I just didn't do it. Though.
Okay. I'm curious what you think of that, because like I remember liking it on 3DS, and like this is a little different, but I'm curious if it's as good or good at all, or I was dumb back then, and who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Cage says, is there any way to turn down or off the annoying low life indicator
I've
sound?
heard about that. I've heard it was like, it's actually terrible.
If not, can you find health quickly often? I do not think you can turn it off. It is absolutely horrible, but you find health everywhere. Like, if you get hit, the next thing that you break down is going to have a heart.
Okay.
Like, the game is very good about giving you what you need.
People
when
don't. What
you
is it
need
like? The
Yeah.
It's like a
But
low
it
heart
could be-
sound.
It gets a lot. Man.
Didn't stand out to me, but
Yeah.
maybe it's just because I'm so good.
That might
I'm
be
born,
it.
you're born
That might be
Ghostbuster,
it,
everybody.
man.
Born Ghostbuster.
That might be it. Everyone, have you been playing anything?
I bought an Oculus Quest recently.
What?
So I've been playing Beat Saber.
Hell yeah, you have.
It's really good, but then I finished like the main campaign. I was like, I'm gonna sideload some of my own songs I like better, like Persona music and whatever. Turns out the people who make those kind of music are charts for those songs, psychopaths.
Yeah.
They're all like expert plus, all that stuff. I'm like, I'm playing music from Earthbound that's on expert plus. I'm like, I can't do this. Why would you make a song that's like, it says normal but like requires 15 of these in a row, and I can't tell which one's happening. So it's fun. I really like that game. Don't know how much like extra downloaded songs I'm gonna do. I also started What's the Golf yesterday.
nice.
What the golf?
What the Golf? That's not What's the Golf. Yeah, you're right. That is a hilarious game.
Apple Arcade.
I've been playing on Epic Game Store,
Oh, okay. Nice.
but it is basically dad joke the game.
Okay.
Of
I'm about that.
like the intro to the game is you are shooting a ball into the hole in one or whatever, and then the next one is you have the exact same screen, so you do it, but then the golf club goes. Then the next one, it's the human goes, and basically the game keeps doing that. Of it makes jokes by what you're hitting, then it's like more of an action game to platform to the flag, and then like it's a joke. Like one is you're hitting a soccer ball into the net, so it says soccer. Then the next stage is you hit soccer ball into the net, it says sock est. That's the level of joke you're working with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is,
want
like I
this
said,
now.
it is
I'm
straight
getting
up, it's on Apple Arcade,
Apple
so
Arcade,
yeah,
man.
go ahead and play it. But I put about an hour into it last night. It's very
Is there
hilarious.
a game to it? This is the thing: is people keep telling me I need to play it. It's one of the ones you got to play it. It's a standout from Apple Arcade. And every time I look at, Siri, why are you listening to me? Every time I look at it, I'm just like, I don't get the game of it.
It's like the first little bit of just trying to like get a ball into a hole. It's not particularly enthralling, but as you start playing more and more, it gets a little bit more difficult. Like when you're a soccer ball, kids keep trying to kick you off the stage.
Okay.
Then the actual initial level's not that challenging or whatsoever, but then you go back into them again and you get like a par. Or a special challenge or something, and those are more difficult. And eventually you start needing to do those because you get special crowns from them, and the crowns unlock further levels.
Okay.
So it does become more game-like and more challenging, but if you're just in it for the dad jokes, you'll find plenty of those, and it's still entertaining and charming and hilarious.
Okay.
In the same vein of that, I want to say on this show, I tried Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, yeah.
Not a fan of Untitled Goose Game.
I've heard that from a number of people.
Yeah, it's
Untitled Goose Game
I
has
get
a great
the charm.
aesthetic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The aesthetic's great. It's funny as a concept, but I feel like it's funny in a tweet, and then it's like cool. But like playing it, I'm like,
I did the first level and I was like, all right, cool. I'm not going to go any further. I get it. I hope people love it. It's really cute. It's really adorable, all that jazz. But it's just like, it's a weird puzzle game that I don't want to play. So like, how do I distract him to get the thing to do that? I'm like, I don't need that like mousetrap experience. Like,
I feel
Yeah.
like the act of watching it is better than the act of playing it, which
Sure.
is fine. That's the game they
Totally.
want to make. It's just if you're not in for that kind of game, then it's not going to suddenly charm the pants off you.
yeah.
yeah, I found it kind of frustrating to figure out what you're supposed to do, even in the first area.
Yeah.
and I was like, all right, I'm not going to continue with this. You might like it, Fran. It
Yeah,
runs
I don't
at
know.
like
I've
120
heard.
frames per second.
Yeah, nice. I've heard nothing but good things about it, actually. So it's kind of good. This is the first I've heard that maybe it's not.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not a
It's
Greg
just-
game.
Yeah,
That was
it's,
my thing.
it's not a Tim game either. And it's like, I like the idea of it just being like, you're a goose fucking with people. Like, that's funny enough to me to be like, all right, I'm
Yeah.
in.
That's
But, yeah.
I've been wanting. Yeah, you can hop in and out of this pretty fast within like 20, 30 minutes, right, and get the idea, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
Like,
By the
in
time
5
you-
minutes,
yeah.
you'll know.
Okay.
By the time
I
you're
should
done
play
with the
it
first
for-
section, you'll know whether or not you want to play the rest of that game or
Yeah,
not.
definitely. Barrett,
So
you played a little bit of that Fortnite Chapter 2? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Chapter 2, Season 1 of Chapter 2. Got in a couple matches last night. And it's good. Like when they dropped that trailer, it was like, oh man, this might be the thing that brings me back. There's just enough that's being changed here as a kind of lapsed Fortnite fan that made me interested. And I had gone back to seasons every once in a while where they're adding planes and all this like complicated stuff. And this kind of brought me back to the days of when it launched on Switch. Of like, it's just. They kept the things that they felt like they wanted to keep and not overcomplicate things. Like, yeah, there's boats this time around, like traversing through waters, more of a play this time around. But it's fun. There's definitely a couple like hitches here and there where I'm definitely noticing some accuracy of shooting not being as accurate as it should be. But I don't know if that's server stuff or maybe it's just my internet quality, who knows. But it's fun. And I think the one main thing is a lot of people are talking about like the bots and whatnot of how egregiously obviously bad they are.
So that's what I don't get. I've heard about bots and I've heard that you can play it pairs you now with people of your own skill level.
Yes.
Okay.
Like in the game, I and this is like something that I'm kind of frustrated by. Of they don't really tell you
any of this stuff.
Any of this stuff, and like they don't tell you beforehand if you're being matched with bots or anything.
Okay.
Like from what I played, like I played a match this morning and like a couple hours last night, and from what I could tell of just like how maybe it was just a super bad player, but there were like only 2 or 3 times where I ran into them, and yeah, they're like obviously bad. Where if you are out of their line of sight even after they see you, they will just kind of go back to do their own thing of like harvesting items and whatnot. It's like, oof, this is not great.
Object permanence is hard.
Yeah, so, but once you get like later on in the match, right, once you're in like the top 25, I feel like they're all eliminated depending on how many of them are in the game. Like the first game that they jump you into when you your first game into the season, it is like you don't even load up your map. They play the trailer, and then it's like the shot of the guy jumping out of the bus, and then it drops you right into a game.
Interesting.
And so I feel like that match is probably a lot of bots. Just so like, I imagine they did it for people like me who are like, hey, you haven't played this in a while, get readjusted, take your time to explore the new map and whatnot. And because I feel like more of my bot interaction was in that match.
Gotcha.
More than anything else. But I do feel like the top 5 were still all like other actual people. And then the major change I noticed are the 2 major ones. Just really quick, leveling. They add a lot of new things to like level you up, so you can unlock new things, which I think is exciting for people like Big Kev Dog, who is really bad at killing people and getting those dubs without a squad. So there's like they add like just little stuff for people who just like want to level and unlock stuff, which I think is cool.
That's great.
And then the unlocking or like kind of exploring the map is really cool. When you first play it, the entire map is grayed out, and there's question marks over all of these places, and they only unlock as you go through them, like each game. So if I uncover like a fourth of the map in my first match, the rest of the 75% of the map is still grayed out in my next one.
Sure.
So
That's smart.
It gives you just enough of an incentive to go around and like drop at different places and not just go to the same kind of place.
Sure.
Which I feel like they did well enough in Chapter 1 or whatever the fuck they're calling it now of putting objectives of like, hey, unlock a chest in this area and whatnot. But I think this is like a good incentive to really familiarize yourself with the
It's
new
cool
map.
to see them take that learning, like you're talking about with stuff for Kevin to go in and do, or this map, right? They were always so good in the previous seasons of if you were just the group that wanted to show up and hang out, like you don't have to worry about you don't want to win, don't worry about winning.
Yeah.
Run through and do this, find the star, do these little things.
Right. The one thing I will say about the leveling, which is stress-inducing definitely, when it was midnight last night and I'm in the top 15 and I'm going through and I'm like listening for noises and shit. The leveling notification is the loudest fucking most intrusive thing, where it's like and it's like, oh god, is someone shooting me? I don't know what's happening right now. And it's like, oh no, I just leveled up a bit. Cool, thanks. Or like when you unlock like a tiny achievement, like, oh, you've survived the top 50 or whatever. It's like this very intrusive notification. And you're like, fuck. Why do they have to do that? It's
Why is it gotta be so loud?
Gotta get the kids' attention.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I got my first win of the season last night, which was
Nice.
very exciting. And I'm excited to play more. Like I know Joey wants to play tomorrow, so I'm excited. I'm really excited to like squad up with people again because those were some of my favorite memories. That was last year when it launched on Switch, right?
Yeah, last summer.
Yeah, last summer. Like those are some of my favorite memories of like playing with Joey and Kevin and some other people. It was just a fun time. So
Hell
I'm
yeah.
excited. I'm excited for Fortnite to be back.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Stay tuned for the post show if you are a patreon.com/kindoffunnygames supporter. Until next week, I love you.
Well done.
Good. That was
Thank
good.
you. Thank you, Ray. I'm going to pee while the chat comes up.
Cool. Bring up that chat, B Money. Thank you. Let's see.
Parker, do the bots go away eventually in Fortnite? I mean, that's the only thing
As you
that I
get
don't
better.
It's
understand.
hard to tell.
Well, I would assume
think
they would.
Like this morning, I played a match before coming to work,
Yeah.
and there was like, again, very early on.
That's
there
like your
was-
third or fourth match, right?
It was probably like my 10th or 12th match.
Oh, it was, okay.
I played a lot last night.
Okay, so you've done a dozen matches.
yeah,
I thought you only said you played a few.
Yeah.
You played a dozen and you're still getting bots.
Yeah, at least only early on when I was like the first area that I dropped in, it was a very egregious. Again, like I was obviously walking around and opening chests, and it might have just been a bad player. And this is another thing that I don't like is like when you shoot them, like some of the names, it's hard to tell like. When like a name pops up of who you've killed
Right.
and stuff, it's hard to tell if like that was an actual username or if that was a bot name.
bot.
Like there are names that pop up that are just numbers. Are those bots? Like I wish that there was like they had a specific color when their name pops up of like, oh, that was a bot. Okay, I don't know.
Interesting.
Parker Beagle says that's hilarious. And to put names on racers in Mario Kart Mobile, they put believable names on the bots in Fortnite. Why don't they just label the bots?
Yeah, it's fucking like.
I guess I don't want you to feel bad because, like, oh, I just killed just a bot, or the bot killed me.
I don't know. But I feel like them announcing that like there's bots in the game, you're already struggling to get away from that. So just fucking lean into it. Like make it less confusing for if you get a win in Fortnite. It's like, well, did I just kill a bot? Like what does that win actually mean? But yeah, similar to the Mario Kart Tour thing, I did not know that was like single player only. So when I was like fucking kicking ass that for like first night it came out, where I'm facing people called like Yo Mama and shit like
Thought
that.
Sweeper, dude.
Yeah, it's like
Someone else came across Thought Sweeper. They screenshotted it to me.
Thought sweeper. Wow.
Jasmine says, I just noticed, is the plushie Watto. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
It's not so much a plushie as it is like a nylon.
Finally.
Yeah. It's not very plush.
Chance Carter says, every time I leveled in Chapter 2, it makes me jump and I think I'm getting shot at.
yeah, no, it's fucking terrifying.
Keeps the adrenaline pumping.
Drew Baca says, how was hanging out with the better Nick Scarpino while you guys were at Galaxy's Edge?
Damn.
Hanging out with Anthony Carboni was fantastic.
Oh, he's the
yeah.
better Nick Scarpino? Why do people say that?
All the way around.
Nick says that.
All the way around.
Nick starts
No.
that.
Nick himself.
Anthony's
did
great.
start that. Yeah.
Oh, so Nick coined it.
Uh-huh.
That's a good tactic.
It is.
Take someone awesome
Is
who
the better you?
I,
then
yeah,
it's
like
the
I don't
most
even
Nick
see
move.
the relevant. I mean, is Carboni Italian? Maybe so.
Yeah, I
Like
don't
maybe, but then you just say, "Oh, that's the better me," and then you'll get like a little bit of that. Like,
Get some clout.
yeah, I like this.
You gotta love it.
Who would be the better me? I gotta think on this.
Better fan. I don't know.
Somebody will come up with it in
Yeah,
chat.
please.
Hey, it's Twizzler
Twizzlers.
making it rain
Random Twizzles.
on the Watto.
This is a Red Vine family, Miller.
Twizzler.
I agree that I like red vines better, but this is what we got.
I know.
Greg,
I
you
won't even eat
traitor to the
Twizzlers.
Midwest.
They're nasty.
They're nasty.
Does anyone else do the thing of like you have a bag of
wax.
candy and you give it to the stewardess on the plane or the flight attendants when you get on the plane?
What?
I
What
do
the fuck?
So like when I go onto a plane, I give a bag of candy to the flight attendant.
Wait,
like,
unopened, brand new?
yeah, like the Halloween style bags of candy. And I was like, I just go, hey, I know you work very hard. Like I know, like here's just a bag of candy for you guys to share amongst yourselves. Whenever that happens, usually one, I will get a free drink every time. Two, if there's ever an upgrade, I'm usually the one they come to. because they're like, okay, well, this guy's nice.
So you're bribing them.
I love it,
Essentially,
dude.
yes.
Good for you.
Like
Good
it's
for
not. That's not the
you.
point because you're not going to get it every time. But it will be
I like the odds, though.
It's like a nice thing to do for them, and they tend to help you out when you need it.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Drew Baca says Shroud. I'll take that. Yeah, sure.
Shroud, you mean the better FF3 underscore?
Better than everybody at every shooter game.
Man, so fantastic.
Pop quiz, Greg and Tim, because Imran already knows about this. Do you know what a morel is?
Mushroom.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Why?
Did you ever go hunting
Dude,
them?
you fucking talked about this for like 10 minutes
No.
yesterday.
I was invited many times in Missouri. I never went. No.
Yeah, to go hunting morels. Anyway, there was a game on the upcoming list of each and every game so far. We were going through it, and there's something called what was it? Morel Hunter :
It was Morel's something.
Yeah,
Hunt.
Morel's something.
It was like the
something
hunt.
the hunt.
It was-
Yeah.
yeah.
And,
Is it a video game?
yeah, it's called Morel's something the
Only
hunt.
on PC, some bullshit like that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But I was like, I circled back. I was like, wait a second, Morel, what do you think that is? And you would never think it's a game
Did no
about
one else know it
mushroom.
was mushrooms?
I don't think Imran knew it
No,
at
I
the
did
time.
not know.
Which I wouldn't blame you for not knowing. They're delicious.
I did go. I looked them up later, and apparently they cause or not causophobia, but they're particularly offensive with people who have phobias of small holes. So like when they look at the top of the morels, they freak out.
Okay.
Oh no, that's I have a very light version of that. We've talked about. Is it tryptophobic?
Every time
Trypophobia, I
Fran
think,
looks at
yeah.
my
Trypophobia.
hole.
Oh my God, it's
Ew.
yeah, that's a very common one. People
Is
get
it? I had not heard of it until then.
It's relatively common because it looks like disease, is what they say. You know,
Okay.
the disease of like honeycomb, and I don't like it. I can handle it.
Yeah.
Somebody tweeted at me today as part of the DCP stuff, Destiny Community Podcast about we have the voice actress on, and anyway, they got into
Which voice
they're
actress?
afraid of Morla, according to for Eris. So anyway, they were like, and also I have Kuanoma, whatever, phobia, and it's afraid of buttons. And they linked to it, and it's a very rare thing. You're afraid of buttons, and you get anxiety if people
Buttons
have
like
buttons.
on
like
on your
buttons
shirt?
on a sweater.
Oh, man, you die at PAX.
It's crazy some of the phobias that are out there.
Well, there you go. Thank you guys for joining us. We got
Wait.
some more shit to shoot.
Tim, which X-Men am I? Where I do this, and then I get out of them, and I do like a wheel kick.
Oh crap!
Oh, dude.
Mystique?
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
that's it.
Job, everybody.
All right,
Wait,
love
before
you
we
guys.
go, I didn't get to say, Greg. It's too bad that I screwed it up now. But the whole time, don't be a loser in Force.
Ah, yeah, that would have been good back.